All right, everybody, welcome in. Happy Monday. Kenner and Kev with you live here on Dayton's ESPN radio station, 1410 Wing AM. I'm Justin Kenner. He's Kev Nash. Mr. Kev Nash, welcome.
What up, though?
How was your weekend?
It was solid, man. Went to the Funny Bone, see TK Kirkland. Saw that on Friday. Went out to lunch on Saturday with the wife. Used up some gift cards we have for the Cheesecake Factory. And then Sunday, whole bunch of sports and TV watching. Watched Jake Paul lose for the first time, thank goodness, so we can stop hearing him talk. Also watched my guy Dame drop 71 points. It was an awesome Sunday.
Now, you're not a Jake Paul guy.
No.
I think he's good for boxing.
I mean, it's good now that he lost.
So if there's a big fight last night, shows like ours, we're maybe not talking about it now. Maybe that's because, I hog the mic more than you. But like I was talking about this with a friend of ours, Drake, earlier today. I said, what's interesting about the Paul brothers is that they are so disliked, but yet they're draws everywhere that they go. And this is kind of things that we talk about a lot in sports is like, how many times you hear people say, I hate Skip Bayless, I hate Stephen A. Smith, but they're the two best at what we do. Mm-hmm. They're the two best in the sports media industry. There are no two bigger names than Skip Bayless and Stephen A. Smith. Now, you can argue the Jim Nances and some of those like legendary broadcasters in the world, but overall, I'm using them as an example because guys that you hate are the guys that seem to move the needle more than anybody else. And that's how I can kind of compare him to. Now, the difference is he's not the best in the boxing world.
Right.
But I do believe a sport like boxing needs the Paul brothers more so. Obviously, we're talking about Jake here, but I think they need guys like that.
With him, this is his first time boxing a boxer,
a real boxer.
Yeah, a boxer who his profession is boxing, not a MMA guy that is boxing, not a basketball player that is boxing, a dude that all he does is box, and he lost.
Well, but look, I mean, it was a split contest.
He lost.
It was split decision. Contest.
Split decision.
Hold
lost.
On. I'm a little tired of him moving them goalposts. This whole start of the show, I'm just moving them goalposts. But I'm not a big Jake Paul fan. I like Logan Paul. I think he's the more likable of the two, if that's a thing. But Logan, he kind of dips his toe in the wrestling world, which is my cup of tea. That's what I like. And I think he's killing it over there. But again, he's killing it over there because everyone hates him, but he pushes his merchandise moves more than anyone. His segments get the best ratings of anybody. So I find them to be interesting. I always think a sport needs some guy. They need the heels, if you will. If I'm going to mention wrestling, they need the heel guys. He's definitely a heel. People tune in to watch him lose. You tuned in because you hate him and you want to watch him lose.
I respect the hustle. I respect the hustle. And there's no doubt about it. A guy that had no boxing experience learned how to box. And he's not knocking dudes out by accident or fake. That's not fake, no matter what the script leaked on TMZ tells you. Like, he's legitimately getting in the ring and winning these fights. My whole thing is, being a boxing person, I think the sport of boxing needs more love than it's getting based off of what he does, like off the antics. Like, it's real good professional boxers out there that actually do this, like a Buddy, and I'm drawing a blank on his name, so I guess he's not that popular, huh? Shakur Stevenson. Mm-hmm. So like those type of guys that actually do boxing and are professional boxers get shunned, or the light isn't shine as bright on them, and they're champions at multiple levels versus a carnival act, so to speak. And I think that speaks more to us as a society, that we want to just see somebody famous get into a boxing ring. Like we saw, I'm not sure if you're familiar with her. She's a reality star, Natalie Nunn, and Tommy from one of these Love and Hip Hop shows. They had a boxing match over the weekend, and it was absolutely crazy numbers. So they're good for boxing.
We're talking boxing. So yes,
they're not boxing. They're in a ring. They're everybody on the video can see me. That's not boxing.
But we're talking boxing.
That's fighting. That's just another form of entertainment. That's not boxing. If me and you go toss the football in the parking lot, that's not us playing football. That's two guys playing catch.
But no one would tune in to watch us.
Oh, yeah, football. They would. I got an arm. I don't know what you're talking about. I used to be able to throw a ball 55 yards in high school.
You'll be looking like them backups, the overthrowing receivers if I'm the one running after your passes. No, look, I didn't plan on opening up with this, but this is fine because I find this interesting. I know what you're saying. Now you sound like a traditionalist, which is totally fine. There's traditionalists in every sport. But here's the thing that I find most interesting is that every sport kind of needs these types of characters, if you will, to make their sport not relevant almost, but kind of. I always say this too, because people talk about what's fair in sports, and I don't believe there's anything fair in sports at all. I mean, we as fans dictate what works and what doesn't. For instance, when people bring up the WNBA, or people bring up golf, or people bring up sports that don't get the national attention that many believe that they should, there's tons of great golfers. There's tons of great women's basketball players. There's tons. And I'm like, that's fine. That's great. But if they don't move the needle, I don't care how good they are. Like, people think that we tune into the NFL because it's the best football in the world. Now, it is. People think that we like the NBA because it's the best basketball in the world. We're finding out it is, but it's not. I mean, look at all the, foreign-born players that are coming in and, coming to the States to play and elevate the NBA even more. But sometimes it's not about what's the best. These players were overseas. They're really good at what they do, but we weren't watching Luka overseas. We weren't watching these guys, Jokic overseas, but we're watching them because they're here. Sometimes I don't think we tune in to watch the best at something. Everyone talks about how good the golfers are, but yet we need to watch Old Tiger come before we pay attention to golf, or this live golf tour to come and make golf relevant again. And people that's not golf. That's not, the loud music and blah, blah, blah. Like, but if that's what's moving the needle, then that's what's moving the needle. So I see what you're saying, but sometimes I think we get so caught up in, we think fair equals really, really good should get ratings, and that's not always the case. Because you're right, there are tons of really, really good boxers who've gone through the grind, who've trained from the time that they're young, and have put in the time to be getting the notoriety that the Paul brothers get.
Right.
But yet they don't.
Right.
And that's my point, is like, sometimes being good doesn't guarantee that you're going to get anything. My all-time favorite right now, Pat McAfee. Love Pat McAfee to death. Pat McAfee ruffles a lot of feathers. His popularity bothers people. That's why when you listen to shows throughout the day on ESPN, although he does have good relationships with guys like Greeny and others, if you listen to Colin Cowherd and others, listen to how they reference his show. Oh, if you heard Aaron Rodgers on that YouTube show earlier today, they try to belittle what he's doing because they're pissed off because they had to go through the grind.
Right.
They had to go through all these small markets, move their way up, and get up to the big time. And here's Pat McAfee, who he's turning down radio gigs. He's turning down SmackDown in game day. He doesn't know what the future of the You're right. It's just some little YouTube show that's outdrawing everyone else. Sometimes it's not about who's really good at the radio thing. It's all about personalities.
Right.
And that seems to be the era we're in now. Personalities move the needle, not how good you are, I guess.
And to speak to that, that's in every realm of entertainment. You can talk about comedians. I went to go see TK Kirkland at the Dayton Funny Bone. Him and I had a conversation about like how he feels about, the Instagram comedians and everything like that. They have a platform that everybody has, their cell phone. They do something funny on the internet. It goes viral. Next thing you know, they're headlining the show at the Funny Bone. But can they actually do what a TK Kirkland does, put on a 90-minute set? No, they can put on a 10, 15-minute set. And they put a whole bunch of Instagram comedians up there to fill up the time. But are they truly comedians? Are they truly honing the craft? And then you go to what I know most about, music or entertainment. You could talk about, what's a real rapper or a real musician. And we could talk about the Quincy Joneses. We could talk about the Dr. Dre's, dudes that go in the studio and make music and make beats and everything like that. Or you could talk about guys that have this program called Fruity Loops, and they just put something together and it goes viral. And now they're the biggest thing since sliced bread. I guess the word is, there's levels to this. And I just think that Jake Paul, he gets more notoriety than what his actual skill level should get.
No, and that's fair. No doubt.
And like I said before, I'm not knocking the hustle, because if I was brave enough to step into that square circle to make the money he's able to make off of boxing, then turn around and promote his other businesses, more power to him. I'm just saying, hey man, now you fought a real boxer. You had that L. Now is the thrill gone? Because that's how we are in society. Once you suffer that first L, or once you're not the shiny new thing anymore, we kind of like go on to the next thing. And if he's really a boxer and really down to grind and be a boxer, suffer this L and bounce back and grind his way back to it, I will respect it. Just like I respect the fact that he actually gets in the ring and gets punched in the face. I would never do it. But, okay, now you suffered this first L. Will people still care to tune in? That's my biggest question.
Justin Kinner, Kevin Nash with you live here on 1410 ESPN Radio and on the Justin Kinner Show Facebook page, ESPN Dayton's YouTube channel. I see comments coming in the comment section. We're going to start responding to those coming up here around the corner, but there are many ways you can get involved in the conversation. Phone lines will open up those coming up here around the corner. We do have Kendrick Perkins, ESPN. He has a new book out. We're going to be talking about his book coming up here with him around the corner. Looking forward to chatting with. He's one of my all-time favorites. In fact, he went viral over the weekend. He went in. It's one thing for guys like you and I as fans to talk about, load management and everything like that. Of course, we're going to have you're always just so understanding and stuff. Not me. No, but he kind of went in on the players saying, hey, a lot of great players in decades past did a lot of hard work for us to make the money that we make in today's game.
Right.
And yet you're spitting in their face by not working hard and not having that desire to play. And I'm, really intrigued to talk with him about that, because we always like to crap on today's NBA. Well, Kendrick kind of played in that early 2000s into this era a little bit. He retired, about 5 years ago, 4 years, less than that, maybe. But he kind of played in the transition of a little bit more tougher era into the softer era, if you will, based on who you ask. I'm excited to talk with him about that. As far as that goes. Plus, there's not many times I get to bring on a guest that agrees about the LBJ LeBron thing, Michael thing. So, maybe, just maybe, but no, his book's coming out. I'm excited to talk with him as far as that's concerned. All right, Kenner and Cab with you here on 1410 ESPN Radio. Did you watch any baseball over the weekend?
I did not watch any baseball over the weekend
There's so many good guys, really good at their craft, and you weren't supporting them? No.
I don't watch spring training baseball. I don't watch preseason NFL. I don't watch preseason NBA. I rarely watch Ohio State spring football. I'm sorry. I can't do it unless it's for real, but continue.
So you don't watch. Why don't you watch preseason NBA? Is because they don't play? So you watch the regular season though?
Exactly.
Yeah, set you up. My bad.
No, that's real. That's real. You got to pick and choose when you're going to watch the NBA. Christmas Day, normally they come out to play for those games.
So, yeah. But baseball, so the first opening weekend of spring training, I only bring this up because now I'm so tired of talking about all the rule changes in baseball, but at least the cool thing about talking about the rule changes in baseball is now we're seeing them implemented in baseball, and they're working. And the thing about working means is, okay, they're working as far as you put these rules in place to accomplish X, Y, and Z. Well, it's working based on this. I think they said there was about 30, 40 games over the weekend. And we've already seen about 25 minutes shaved off of the average runtime for a game. Now, last year, they used the runtime of last year's spring training games to compare it to this year. They've shaved off almost a half hour of these spring training game times. And I get, and people who have watched these games, they notice, the changes are noticeable. How quick a batter goes down, the next batter's right up there. They're in the box. They're not doing 85 practice swings. They're not changing, messing with their gloves and all this stuff and everything. And you're noticing the uptick in pace of play. I bring this up, and we're going to get to this coming up here in a moment. But I just think, okay, what are you fixing? Okay, it works. Well, what does it works mean? Who are you satisfying here? Are fans happy? Is this going to lead to an increase in ratings? I don't know. Just before we get into the meat and potatoes of it, quicker baseball equals more ratings. Do you agree with that?
No.
I don't either.
Think so either. I think the people that love baseball and watch baseball are going to continue to love it and watch it. I don't think it necessarily shorter run times is going to bring in new viewers.
I think baseball's biggest issue is if you listen to the fans, it's not. So now we're going to be at a quicker pace watching the things about baseball we don't like still. We're going to be watching managers not follow their gut and use the advanced analytics. I know that's a tired argument. I know you guys are tired of hearing about it. I'm tired of talking about it. I bring this up because yesterday the wife and I, we went and watched the new Avatar movie.
Okay.
And we were at the movie is at 2:15. We didn't get home till 6. Okay. But it was a great movie. It was great. I loved all the theatrics of it. I loved everything. I loved the personal effects. Yeah, there we were sitting there laughing, clapping, having a good time. But at no point did I sit there and say, oh, are you kidding me? This movie needs to hurry up and end. No, I was like, man, this movie's awesome. Yeah. This movie's great. I'm having a great time. We got done at 6. Like, holy crap, we got the movies at 2. We didn't get home till 6, but like that was a good movie. I can't wait for the next one to come out, that type of thing. That's my biggest thing about baseball. If you enjoy it, if you love it, why at any point now, if I did sit there during that Avatar movie, and some of you that have watched the Avatar movie are like, yeah, that was way too damn long. We need to go. That means you just didn't care for the movie that much, and off you go. Okay, that's fine. Not everyone's going to be the same opinion, but for me, if I really thoroughly love something, not once do I watch a Buckeye game unless they're up 45-0 at the end of the first quarter. Do I say, man, this game needs to hurry up and end? The game was 3 hours and 20 minutes, Ohio State versus Georgia. At no point did I say, man, I hope this hurry. I can't wait for this to end. 3 hours, 20 minutes. At no point did I say, man, this game needs to hurry up and end. So that's me with baseball. If the product is good, if you thoroughly enjoy the product, at what point do you sit there and say, this is a hell of a game, but man, if it could hurry up, that'd be great. No one does that. When you watch great movies, when you watch great entertainment, when you pay good money to go watch something that you value, at no point do you think, I paid good money for this, so I hope I'm here for the least amount of time as possible. Right. You want to thoroughly enjoy it. That's kind of my analogy or my crossover, if you will. I enjoyed that long movie yesterday because it was great content. And if baseball is great content, I'll sit there for 4 hours if I have to. That's why I believe that when I hear baseball say, and we'll talk about what the changes were and what we saw coming up in a moment, but when I hear baseball say, man, the changes, they're working, well, what are they working to correct? Because if it's just the money side of things because of sponsors, then kudos, good for you. But ultimately, the viewer experience, I don't know how much it's improving that. And maybe it is, and I see some comments coming in. We'll get to those in a moment. I appreciate everyone's feedback. But me and you seem to be on the same page. Okay, you say it's working. What are you accomplishing? Because I think at the end of the day, the viewer, I don't know what you're doing with them.
Yeah, I think that it's working, like you said, for the sponsors and for their media partners, because their media partners, as you know, we have to hit certain out cues. We have to be on time. We have to do X. We have to.
Sorry,
we have
Debbie's like, you listening, kidder?
We have to be on time for certain things. And I think I talked about this with my brother, or maybe we talked about it in the hallway when we kind of like doing our pre-show stuff. In the NFL, we know exactly what time things are going to start and what time they're going to end. These games every Sunday kick off at 1:00. They end at like 4:05. Next game's kicking off at 4:15 or 4:30. Like clockwork, no matter what happens, no matter if the game is a blowout, if it's grinded down to the last second, somehow, some way, the NFL has timed it out that their games start and end in a certain window. But baseball, we don't have a clock. There's no, first quarter, second quarter. There's no 12 minutes and it's on to the next thing. You have to earn those outs. So if you're out there and the pitcher is just mowing folks down or he's struggling and you have to continually switch pitchers, the time is just going to stretch. And ultimately, the people that love baseball, that grew up watching baseball, or the new fans that fell in love with the game, they're going to watch. So I'm not sure why we are trying to cater to people that aren't watching. Like, I'm a casual baseball fan. I only watch my team, and then I'll jump in a little bit for the playoffs if it's, something serious going on, like the Yankees are playing or something like that, because they're a super popular team with a whole bunch of star power. I'll pop in and out. But for the most part, you should be talking to your core audience. Does your core audience care about the length of the time? And more importantly, the people that are at the baseball games, do they care how long they're there? Or is this simply, hey, man, we got to keep our media partners happy and our sponsors happy? If that's the case, then so be it. I really don't have a problem with it. But, to try to pass it off as like, oh, this is going to bring new people in because it's a shorter time. Guess what? They're not, because people aren't watching NBA games, and NBA games are the shortest sport event out there.
And that's my whole point. Now, I saw some comments coming in. I thought the Avatar movie was way too long. That's fine, but then that means you just didn't care for the movie, and that's my point. I think those who think baseball is too long, it just means you're not enjoying it enough, because football, we all don't have a problem sitting through a 3.5 hour football game. Yeah, we want more Scarlet and Gray. We don't want less. We don't say I love Scarlet and Gray, but I would really love if we can just get 2 hours of Scarlet and Gray versus 3.5 hours. No, because that's what we love. Bengals, Browns fans, we want Steelers. It doesn't matter your NFL team. NFL fans in general, we want the whole thing. We don't want it short. I don't want shorter Bengals, Browns games. I don't want shorter NFL games. I love the NFL. I want more of it as far as that's concerned. But nonetheless, we're going to get to your comments and responses coming up here in just a few moments. 518-1410, 518-1410. That's the number to call and jump in on the conversation. I'm Justin Kenner. He's Kev Nash. We'll have Kendrick Perkins coming up around the corner nonetheless. But all right, 518-1410, 518-1410. That's the number. Kev, real quick before we part ways with this, over the weekend, we did promote the half K Draft Dash. The Half K Draft Dash presented by Buckeye Vodka. And we were training today. I don't know why we were using a hoverboard. I have no clue. The hoverboard was used today, nonetheless. And I didn't find out. I know I'm unathletic, but nothing's worse than a kick to the gut than when you're on a hoverboard and you still can't figure it out. But now we were shooting some promo videos today for our Half K Draft Dash presented by Buckeye Vodka, and registration is live right now. It's going to be at Community Golf Course on Friday, March 17th. Registration is live. We've already, over the weekend, we saw our biggest uptick of people registering. So at first we're like, hey, where's everyone at? We started to see a slew of people come in over the weekend. I know my friends are jacked about it. We're pretty excited about it. Everyone already does their normal stuff on St. Patrick's Day. This is something new to add to the calendar. This is a great way to kick off your St. Patrick's Day morning. Kev, tell us a little bit about the Half K Draft Dash, presented by Buckeye Vodka, of course.
Oh, don't forget, a portion of proceeds go to Big Brothers and Big Sisters of Miami Valley. We're going to be out there at Community Golf Course. Look, we're going to do the half K dash. Now that's about 500 yards. That is 5 football fields. Tom Brady's thrown that in a football game before. You can run that, you can jog that, you can walk that, you can moonwalk that, you can crawl that, you can do whatever you want to do. But guess what? We're giving away first place gets a prize. And guess what else? Last place gets a prize as well. So if you're slow, if you're fast, don't matter. You're going to get a prize. Also giving away Cat Williams tickets. We're giving away Taylor Swift tickets. We're giving away a ton of gift cards to Bonefish Grill. So come out and join us on St. Patrick's Day. Race starts at 10 a.m. Pre-registration starts at 9 a.m. Grab your tickets right now at wingam.com.
Again, the Half K Draft Dash presented by Buckeye Vodka. You can register at wingam.com. Friday, March 17th, Community Golf Course. Shout out to Community Golf Course, by the way. It's new for us. It's new for them, too. And their partnership, we couldn't do this without them. So we appreciate that. But you say Taylor Swift tickets? I'm not a Taylor Swift guy, but the wife loves Taylor Swift.
Oh, Blake Shelton tickets
Blake
as well.
Shelton.
Yeah.
You know, and I've had a lot of friends reach out about the Taylor Swift tickets. Like, we tried so hard to get those. How do you guys have them? We don't know, but we do.
I got them.
Yours, too. So keep that in mind. So really cool stuff. Register at wingam.com. Kendrick Perkins, Keith Byers. We'll get into more of this baseball conversation, NBA stuff from over the weekend. Of course, by the way, the Bears, we talked a lot about the future of what they're going to do with that draft pick. Seems like reports coming out, ESPN's Adam Schefter, that they're going to be moving that pick, which it really isn't a big surprise, but it's nice to see that those reports are coming out there. Justin Fields, you might just be fine. You might just be okay.
Get a king's ransom for the pick.
There you go. Kinder and Kev, 1410 ESPN Radio. We'll be right back.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash.
Justin, you're awesome, baby.
Right here on 1410 ESPN Radio. ESPN 1410 Wing AM weather.
The forecast calling for clouds and showers, breezy, 40 the low, and then for tomorrow, decreasing clouds and 52. Wednesday, sunshine and 69. I'm Rick Shrimp for 1410 ESPN Radio.
Discover credit cards do something awesome. At the end of your first year, they automatically double all the cash back you've earned. That's right. Everything you earn doubled. See terms and check it out for yourself at discover.com/match.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
This story is called The Ugly Truth About Timeshare. If you think you've done your family a favor by buying a timeshare, you need my help. Hello, I'm Chuck McDowell, CEO and founder of Wesley Financial Group. 10 years ago, I started helping folks cancel their timeshare. And in the process, started what's now called the timeshare cancellation industry. Timeshare is the only thing that you can buy that you can't tell me how much it's going to cost or when it's going to end. When you buy a timeshare, you give them a blank check to fill out any amount they want for annual maintenance and assessment fees. The crazy thing is, this never ends. Even when you die, your family's now going to be stuck with this burden. Stop the insanity today. Call my office now. If we take you as a client, I guarantee we'll cancel your timeshare or you'll pay nothing.
Call for your free information kit. 800-497-9090. That's 800-497-9090. 800-497-9090.
Listen to this station anytime, anywhere on Odyssey. Odyssey is your new audio home for all the music, news, sports, and podcasts that matter to you. Odyssey. That's AUDACY.
College basketball frickin' heats up this year like never before. Frickers brings back a fan favorite, frickin' street tacos that add to the drama that the tournament provides. Frickin' chicken tacos, char-broiled chicken tacos, and Mississippi barbecue taco. Frickers also scores with a 48-ounce personal pitcher of ice-cold domestic draft beer for only $6.50 all the games. Frickin' street tacos, $6.50 personal pitchers, nowhere else but the home for fun, food, sports, and spirits, Frickers.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? Starting trouble. No one likes that. We'll get you set up for some stronger starts. You might just need a fresh charge, and we'll take care of that free of charge. But if it is time for a new battery, we've got replacement batteries that'll fit your needs, starting at just $79.99. You can learn more about our battery selection at AutoZone.com. That's what makes us America's #1 battery destination.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Claim based on data from the NPD Group 2021.
Still overpaying for a razor? In this economy? Gross. At Dollar Shave Club, you can get a top shelf shave at a regular shelf price. We've been hawking shaving products for years online, and we're excited to bring you the same great quality and low prices at a store near you. From high-quality stainless steel blades to super smooth shave creams, Dollar Shave Club's in the business of making your shave easier. Find Dollar Shave Club in the men's razor aisle. Getting your Dollar Shave Club razor wherever you want. Isn't that great?
Lettuce and Steel Pulse. Performing at PNC Pavilion Friday, July 7th and Rose Music Center Saturday, July 8th. Lettuce and Steel Pulse. With special guest, Makua Rothman. Get tickets now at Ticketmaster.com. This is going to be one incredible night. See Lettuce and Steel Pulse. Live in concert.
Ohio Roads and Bridges connect us to things we need and enjoy. It takes a lot of hard work and money to keep roads in good shape. Today, most of that money comes from Ohio's gas tax. As Ohioans drive more fuel-efficient and electric vehicles, people are buying less gas. That's great for our environment, but it means less money for road and bridge maintenance. Ohio is conducting a study to find a new and more sustainable way to fund the maintenance of our roads and bridges. To learn more and to provide input, visit OhioRoadFunding.com.
Sponsored by Ohio Department of Transportation and aired in cooperation with the Ohio Association of Broadcasters and this station.
The road starts here. Sunday, March 12th, the Big Hoopla events return to salute Dayton's rich basketball history. Join us for fast-breaking fun with the Big Hoopla 4-miler at 9 a.m. The race starts and ends at the University of Dayton softball fields. All participants receive a long-sleeve tech tee, a custom finisher medal, free race photos, and tons of post-race food. Register today at DaytonHoopla.com.
Hey y'all, this is your girl Cheryl Underwood, and I want to tell you something. My digestive system used to make me feel sluggish, but those days are over. Now I feel great. That's because I increased my fiber intake with the Metamucil 2-week challenge, and I'm still hooked. I just took Metamucil every day for 14 days, and it's really that easy. Metamucil traps and removes the waste that weighs you down, so you feel lighter and more energetic. Now I never want to go back to that heavy feeling. Are you ready for the Metamucil 2-week challenge for a coupon and daily support? Sign up at Metamucil.com today.
O'Reilly.
Cleaning your fuel system can help your engine run better and improve gas mileage. Visit O'Reilly Auto Parts and pick up a bottle of Chevron Techron Fuel System Cleaner. On sale now. Buy one, get one free. Plus, get 2 times O-Rewards points. Get more fuel-saving tips from the professional parts people at your local O'Reilly Auto Parts or visit O'ReillyAuto.com.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Staples stores are a new world of possible with innovative tools for small business and remote workers and learners. Explore more at your local Staples store or staplesconnect.com.
ESPN Dayton's YouTube channel is where you can watch Dayton's only local sports talk show. Hang out with Kinner and Kev weekdays at 3 p.m. on Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM.
People are really upset at us, Kev.
Why?
Because we didn't show any of the outtakes of the hoverboard. I didn't realize the hoverboard was going to be the. I mean, I think it was Mark Smith on the Facebook page who actually said, "Hey, he's upset that we didn't show me falling." I will be clear. HIPAA rules prevent that. Let's just put it this way: Kev was more confident than me, but Kev wasn't as smooth on it but he did get from one end of the building to the other.
Yes, I made it all the way down to the other end of the hallway. And if you've ever been to the radio station, we have a pretty long hallway. I would say even like maybe 100 yards, and 5 of those it will get you a half K draft dash. We'll talk about more of that later. But I have difficulty turning around. Like when I made it all the way to the other end of the hallway, I couldn't turn around, so I had to jump off of it because I almost fell again.
Yeah, I mean, look, there's a lot of things in life that remind me you're fat. That was definitely one of them nonetheless. But Kinner and Kev with you live here on 1410 ESPN Radio. If you want to shoot us a text, you could do so at 518-1410. We'll open up the phone lines coming up here in a moment. Top of the hour, we'll hear from ESPN's Kendrick Perkins. We'll get to him coming up here around the corner. Excited to catch up with him as we talk all things NBA. He has a new book out. Kev, his new book, The Education of Kendrick Perkins. It's available now. We're going to chat about that. Plus, he had some interesting comments about load management over the weekend. The one thing I want to talk with him about is he was one of the last few guys that was drafted straight out of high school to the NBA.
Right.
And I'm curious. I don't think I've ever spoke with anyone or have done an interview with anyone that was drafted right out of high school. I think that's a fascinating dynamic, to be honest with you. Like, would he do that again? Like, if you can go back, did he feel like, looking back? I mean, obviously he got drafted by the Celtics going to win NBA championships, so he wouldn't want to probably change the trajectory of his career. But I mean, the trajectory of his career being individual. Did he feel like he missed out on anything? Like, do we need to get rid of that one and done or that 1 year in college rule? I know it's an over talked about thing, but actually speaking with someone who was drafted right out of high school, I think would give an interesting perspective on that.
Yeah, I mean, think about it. I mean, he's from Beaumont, Texas, so you would imagine maybe this, or maybe it went to Texas A&M or someplace like that. All those schools have great basketball and football culture. And I mean, Perk, you imagine Perk playing like defensive tackle?
He probably could. Yeah, unbelievable nonetheless. But Kenner and Kev with you here on Dayton's ESPN radio station, 1410 Wing AM. Okay, so before the break, we were talking about some of the changes that Major League Baseball has implemented. And some of these, the pitch timer, of course, the shift restrictions, bigger bases, all of these things. Now, why did they put some of these changes in? The pitch timer, less downtime, more action. We've talked about it. It's working. Mm-hmm. Less downtime, more action. I do like to see more action, I guess. Like, I think that could help my viewing experience if I'm at a game or watching a game. Maybe quicker paced would keep me more engaged. It's just one of those things where, we talked about earlier, never tuned into a baseball game and thought, oh, man, this needs to hurry up. Mm-hmm. What I would like to tune into a game more is see more stars, see more. Like when I tune into the NBA, I could watch a bad team and there's still going to be 2 or 3 guys that are household names. You don't get that in Major League Baseball. Hell, there's good teams that don't have household names. I think that's a problem. That's things that playing quicker and less downtime doesn't really fix. The shift restrictions, more hits, more athleticism. I'm a big fan of taking the shift out. I don't like let me rephrase that. I thought it was weak to take the shift out. I thought it was weak of teams not being able to adapt to the shift because they refused to bunt. They refused to take. I mean, you're giving them a whole open side of the field. I know the numbers show you struggle hitting that way, but I mean, my goodness, it's called working on it. I don't know. It's easy for me, 5'5", fat dude, unathletic, to say, just work on it, but just work on it. But I've taught like Schlummer when he was alive and we were doing the show. He just could not grasp how Major League Baseball players, the best baseball players in the world, cannot comprehend laying a bunt down that third base line when you have the whole Atlantic Ocean open to the left side. Like, that stuff drives me nuts. However, they banned the shift. It's going to lead to more web gems. I remember that segment. Like like baseball doesn't seem as athletic or fun anymore. That's going to help that.
Yeah,
I think that'll help that. I'm a fan of that.
I was a fan of players like Ozzie Smith, play shortstop for Cardinals, and you know, he didn't have a bat. He wasn't a home run hitter, or shoot, I think he batted under like roughly around 200, but he had the glove. And that's what made him a great player. The web gems, making great catches, that made him a star player. That made him an attraction for people to come watch, to see him do all these great athletic feats in the outfield. So if that brings more of those guys to prominence and light, I'm with it.
Some of the other changes, of course, and this one was interesting to me, the bigger bases. This doesn't impact me as a fan, but it just say increased safety for the players, but at least extra stolen bases. But I mean, extra stealing bases is a philosophy, and I don't know if bigger bases necessarily changes the philosophy of coaches. Your thoughts?
100%. That is a lie. That when I read that, I fume at stuff like that. You're lying, dude. This is not about player safety, dude. This is not gonna make the teams change how they play. You are trying to pander to the fans and say, hey, this is going to create more stolen bases, because they're talking to people of my generation and the older generation who talked about players like Ozzie Smith or Ricky Henderson who would steal bases. People don't steal bases anymore. So to make the bases bigger is not going to make them do it any less, because it's all about your philosophy as a team. And if the philosophy of the team is to continue to try to hit the long ball, then why would they try to steal bases just because they're bigger? Like, it makes absolutely no sense to me.
Yeah, when you hear from David Bell, I mean, it's taking the element of stealing bases out of the game of baseball. It's a philosophy that managers have doubled down on because, you know, for one, you're risking taking a potential run score off the field, when in my mind is you're advancing a potential run score into better scoring position. So it fascinates me when it's all said and done about this, because I think at the end of the day, base stealing and small ball, I think, is good for baseball. I mean, I've had this opinion for years. The chicks dig the long ball era. Everyone fell in love with the home run ball back in the early, late 90s, 2000s, because the, steroids saved baseball. And the home run ball saved baseball. And I used to be a firm believer in that. But I think what you had back in the 90s and 2000s was, for the first time, game. You had guys dedicated to the power game with the long ball, and then, the small ball guys. It was a perfect blend of everything. I think baseball was at its best then, and it wasn't because of the home run ball. It was actually because it was a blend of the home run ball mixed with small ball. Because I say this, I don't think the home run ball saved baseball. I think it was a complete version of the game. There are more home runs being hit now. I think this was a stat from 2 years ago, that from 2016 to 2020, and 20, it would have been probably 19, the year before 20 with COVID, that there were more home runs hit in those 3 years combined than any 3-year stretch during the 90s and the early 2000s during the steroid era. More home runs are being hit then in that stretch than during the peak time of baseball for ratings, TV revenue, etc. But yet ratings were declining, attendance was declining, like everything was declining. So that to me says, okay, it's not the long ball that gets us to tune in. It's the complete version of the game. I think that's what's really hurting baseball more than anything is, yes, we think it's the home run ball. It's not that. I think stealing bases, the small ball elements of it, banning the shift, advancing the runner, singles, doubles, triples, just that. I think baseball needs to go back to being a full sport, not just so one-sided.
Home runs are way cooler when there's people on base.
That too. It's a home run and it's 1-0 in the bottom of the second.
Yeah, but if you hit a 2-run or a 3-run home run, that's cool. That really changes the numbers on the scoreboard. But if you hit a solo home run, hey man, if I got a guy that can rake, he can do the exact same thing. But if you can get guys on base and generate runs that way, that's way more appealing to me as a viewer. But the thing is, are the front offices and the people in charge of the team and how the teams are run, are they going to change their mindsets? And that is something that I'm not sure the head honchos at the Major League Baseball level can change. Can the commissioner of baseball go to the teams and say, hey, man, play small ball, play a mix of small ball? No, he can't. He can just simply enforce these rules and suggest changes. But ultimately, it's really up to the teams. That's why I'm like, when people get all open arms about players and everything like that, well, the players are only doing what A, is getting them paid, and B, what ownership and management are telling them to do. So it's really not about what they're doing. It's about
ESPN Radio. Last thing changes coming up that I think is the most fascinating. There is one change in baseball that is the most dynamic, that is going to have the biggest impact on the game more than any of the rules we just talked about. And that is EPE. Everybody play everybody. And I said that really slow because in my head, am I saying it correctly? EPE. Everybody play everybody. This year, the Reds will play every team in Major League Baseball. And what that means is we won't get to see every team come play at Great American Ballpark. But if you listen to every Reds game or watch every Reds game, you will hear and you will see every player in Major League Baseball. Now, pitchers and stuff, obviously, you may miss some in certain series, but you see my point. The point is I've always found it very difficult to be a legitimate voter for the All-Star game when you haven't seen more than 40% of the players in the league play. And 40% of even the stars. Like, you're voting on stars that you've just seen highlights of, but you haven't. That's crazy to me. You're voting on players that you've never even watched play. You just see highlights on MLB Tonight and all that stuff. That's wild to me. The Reds, so keep in mind, like, we're talking about as a fan, if I'm going to watch every Reds game, I'm going to watch the Reds at the Yankees. I'm going to watch, the Reds at every team imaginable. But those teams are going to watch your Cincinnati Reds. That's how you grow so the Yankees don't need to be seen in more households to grow their popularity, but it doesn't hurt, by the way. If you're baseball, you should want your biggest brands in as many living rooms or on streaming devices as possible. But you should also want your least known teams on every streaming device in every living room as possible, because that's how you get those bigger markets to fall in love with the stars of the small market teams, right? Jonathan India will be 10 times more popular during this EPE movement than he ever would be before, because Jonathan India would only play in front of 40% of baseball fans because of his baseball, of the National League and the Red baseball fans, because of the way that was set. Now every team will watch Jonathan India. Every team will watch Tyler Stevenson. Most teams will get to see the likes of Hunter Green and some of the top pitchers in this stuff. I think that is great for baseball. I always talk about it from the bigger markets being seen, but it's the smaller markets being on display all across the country. Now we're going to get to know more of some of these smaller market teams and their players. I think of all the rule changes, the pitch timer, the shift restrictions, the bigger bases, whatever, I think all of that, throw that all up to the side. The biggest impact that will have the biggest impact on the sport is everybody playing everybody, which goes into effect starting this season.
It's just more fun.
Yeah,
it's just way more fun when everybody gets to see everybody play. We have years past with the interleague, the Guardians will play the Reds. They will play those teams twice a year. But you know what? It's more than just, hey, man, play the teams that so happen to be in your same state. But let's venture out a little bit. Let's have everybody play everybody. Let's see all the players. Let's see all the best guys. And unlike the NBA, Major League Baseball players play a lot of these baseball games. So you do have a chance to see, Trout play in Cleveland, you know what I'm saying? Or in Cincinnati. So it's cool.
Kenner and Cobb with you here on 1410 ESPN Radio. Thumbs up, thumbs down. We've talked a lot about this today. We've given our thoughts on it. I am curious about yours. The text line is open. We're live on Facebook and YouTube, so check us out there. We're going to open up the phone lines coming up here around the corner. Right now, as soon as that's tweaked, we'll get those phone lines open to start taking your calls. I know people are complaining. We've been trying to call. We can't get through. We'll get that fixed coming up here in just a moment. But yes, so we did get a text, by the way. We're talking about Jake Paul a little bit ago being good for boxing, and throughout, and this was an organic conversation. I didn't have it planned for today, but we were talking about some of the big sporting events from over the weekend. You brought up the big boxing fight, of course, and you talked about the Paul brother, Jake Paul, going down. And I was like, man, I was actually intrigued by the fight. I was looking up the results of the fight. I was talking about the fight because of Jake Paul. You don't like Jake Paul. You think he, let me clarify this. You think he's bad for the sport or good for the sport?
I think it's bad for the sport when you have someone that is more of a media personality participating in the sport and they get more shine than actual professional boxers.
So who's responsible for that shine, do you think?
Us.
Us. Okay, that's fair. So the reason I asked that,
us as a royal us. And that goes in every sport. That goes in everything. I mean, look at the most popular TV shows minus the NFL. It's reality TV. Like, we like seeing popular people do crazy stuff. So that's us as a society. So I guess it's not necessarily a knock on him. I guess it would be a knock on who put in whatever popular person from their YouTube channels or just society in general, and then you plop them in there and say, I'm gonna be a professional boxer, and they get more shine than actual real boxers.
All right, good stuff there. So this came in from Tim. He's texted in, which way you could do that, 518-1410. He said he didn't even know who the Paul brothers were, but he started noticing the fight being talked more about on some of the national shows, which technically isn't that. I think boxing and MMA and all, it's talked about a lot across shows. I think we tune out, but I do think there's an extra flair when we're talking about the Paul brothers, nonetheless. But let's talk about that too. I want to get more feedback on that, because I think that is something that's interesting. Is Jake Paul good or bad for boxing? Kev says he's bad. I say he's good, because when you're a sport that's desperate to get, not desperate, maybe that's a little disrespectful to the sport of boxing, but when you are clamoring for any additional national media time as you can get, any little bit helps, right? We'll talk about that coming up here around the corner. Kidder and Cab with you here on Dayton's ESPN radio station, 1410 Wing AM. That hoverboard, we got to talk to Drake about keeping that here.
It's still in his office.
I'm kind of mad that that was my performance. I'm going to prove everyone are making fun of me about the hoverboard. I'm going to prove everyone I'm going to be doing laps around this place.
That's
tomorrow.
what we should do.
We got to find his son for it, though. His son left it. So Drake, a good friend of ours here in the station, his son. He brings his sons here on the weekend when they're doing work and stuff, and they just fly around it. By the way, you could tell Drake just showing up. Oh, I got kids. Look at me. I mean, it was pretty impressive. Shout out to Drake, by the way. He was pretty impressive. But you could tell the two dudes that don't have kids that have anything cool like that, because we had no clue what the hell we were doing.
No, we should time ourselves around the building, me, you, and Hoop, and the winner, the losers have to pay for lunch.
No, it's fine. We got gift cards.
Winner's choice. Winner's choice, dude.
Kenner and Cab with you here on 1410 ESPN Radio. We will be right back. Oh, dang. Oh, kill the music. Kill the music.
The Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, right here on Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM.
Because new customers get a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000. That's bonus bets back if your first bet doesn't win. Just download the FanDuel Sportsbook app. It's safe, secure, and super easy to use. Then you can bet on everything from the money line to point scores and threes drained. I'm a big fan of live betting, but I also love the prop bets. Plus, FanDuel even lets you combine your bets for a chance at a bigger payout with a same-game parlay. So don't miss the chance to get your no-sweat first bet up to $1,000 in bonus bets when you go to FanDuel.com/Kinner, Kinner. That's FanDuel.com/Kinner to learn more. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sports betting partner of the NBA. Must be 21 and older and present in Ohio. First online, real money wager only, $10 deposit required. Refund issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire in 14 days. Restrictions do apply. See full terms at FanDuel.com/sportsbook. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
I'm Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. I learned about atrial fibrillation the hard way. My symptoms would come and go. Shortness of breath, fatigue. I kept going. Then I got so lightheaded, I couldn't. My doctor said I have AFib, so I'm about 5 times more likely to have a stroke. Other symptoms, irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain can come and go, but the risk of stroke stays. If you have symptoms, tell a doctor. Visit notimetowait.com.
Sponsored by Bristol Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
3 people you should be 100% certain about. Your barber, your plumber, and your tax pro. Switch to Jackson Hewitt and you can be 100% certain about your taxes. We'll get you your maximum refund guaranteed and we'll back your return for life. Don't be kind of certain or almost certain. Be 100% certain. Switch to Jackson Hewitt today and get 50% off tax prep. Limited time offer for new clients filing at participating locations. Max value $200. Visit jacksonhewitt.com/50 for terms.
Do you or any of your family members, neighbors, or friends own a property that you just want to be done with it? If so, call TurboTrack Realty today for an all-cash offer at 614-470-2000, 614-470-2000. Would it be convenient for you to take what you wanted and leave the rest behind? Great, I'll buy it. Call 614-470-2000. That's 614-470-2000.
Cordell Transportation is hiring third shift dispatcher/customer service representatives. Excellent pay, great benefits, no experience necessary, and paid training. Apply online at CordellTransportation.com or stop in today at 2942 Boulder Avenue in Dayton. Equal opportunity employer.
Progressive presents Adjusting to the Suburbs. You used to associate crickets with silence. But since you bought a house in the suburbs, you know crickets hate silence. If any other creature realized rubbing its legs together made a piercing, high-pitched noise, they might think, maybe I won't do that. Constantly. All night long. Luckily, you can save with Progressive by bundling your home and auto. Now that's something to make noise about. Just not constantly. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company. Coverage provided and serviced by affiliates and third-party insurers.
When you're an innovative business, every blinking cursor, every blank page is an opportunity. What will you do with it? Will you make something better or create something new? Our Dell Technologies advisors provide you with tools and expertise to do incredible things. Because we believe there's an innovator in all of us. For advice on smart PCs powered by Intel V Pro that's built for business, call a Dell Technologies advisor at 877-ASK-DELL.
College basketball frickin' heats up this year like never before. Frickers brings back a fan favorite, frickin' street tacos that add to the drama that the tournament provides. Frickin' chicken tacos, charbroiled chicken tacos, and Mississippi barbecue taco. Frickers also scores with a 48-ounce personal pitcher of ice-cold domestic draft beer for only $6.50 all the games. Frickin' street tacos, $6.50 personal pitchers, nowhere else but the home for fun, food, sports, and spirits, Frickers.
I had a nighttime routine for my frequent heartburn. I would drink milk, I would sleep upright with more pillows, but that painful burning stayed. So I made Prilosec OTC part of my morning routine. With just one pill each morning, Prilosec OTC prevents excess acid production, blocking heartburn day and night. Now I have a new nighttime routine. I call it sleeping.
One pill a day, 24 hours, zero heartburn. With Prilosec OTC. It's possible while taking Prilosec OTC. Use as directed for 14 days to treat frequent heartburn, not for immediate relief.
When a cold comes on strong, knock it out with Vicks DayQuil Severe for max strength daytime relief. Just one dose of Vicks DayQuil Severe starts to relieve 9 of your worst cold and flu symptoms to help take you from 9 to none. Power through your day with Vicks DayQuil Severe. The daytime non-drowsy, coughing, aching, fever, sore throat, 9 to none medicine. Use as directed.
Family Dollar has more for your lunch with Bumblebee tuna or chicken salad, Lay's, Powerade, and Little Debbie snack cakes. Family Dollar, helping you do more.
Have a hot take of your own that you're just dying to get off your chest? Text or call the ESPN Dayton hotline at 937-518-1410. That's how you can be a part of our local shows throughout the week, like the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, weekdays at 3 p.m., and the Keith Byers Show, Mondays at noon. Call or text the shows at 937-518-1410.
Kenner and Kev back with you here on Dayton's ESPN radio station 1410 Wing AM. I'm Justin Kenner. He's Kev Nash. We welcome you back. Again, hope everyone's safe out there. I know throughout the majority of the start of this show, we knew the weather was bad out, but we didn't realize that the whole building was on shutdown. I mean, my God, we just had to keep doing our jobs.
Right. People
with a smile on our face.
People downstairs in the basement watching the news. We're putting on a show for the people.
Speaking of doing a show, not really a show, but we do have the Half K Draft Dash coming up. We've been promoting heavily at the start of the show. We'll be pushing it a lot moving forward. But coming up, tomorrow's the last day of February already.
Wow.
Unbelievable. But with that, March coming up, and that means, St. Patty's Day. And St. Patty's Day, everyone has their, their annual traditions. Well, we have our inaugural Half K Draft Dash coming up on March 17th at Community Golf Course. The Half K Draft Dash presented, of course, by Buckeye Vodka, but it's also a fun event. It's you get a breakfast buffet. You start your morning off with a green beer, a little light jog for 500 yards. I mean, even Kenner could do that. Get a commemorative shirt, of course, an opportunity. So we talk about the beer, we talk about the breakfast. Have a chance to win some cool concert tickets, like we talked about earlier. Taylor Swift, Blake Shelton, comedian Cat Williams tickets. Might even have some more around the corners. We'll be, letting you know more, but also supports and helps a great cause.
Yes, Big Brothers and Big Sisters of Miami Valley. Portion of the proceeds go to them. And also something very cool that we're going to be doing, man. We're going to be showing our training videos up until the race. So I'll be training. Kenner will be training. Kenner, tell them about some of the training methods that you have planned.
I don't see. Here's the deal. So I'm a quitter, and I was supposed to do this race in Pensacola. Back in this month? Oh man, I guess
so. You and Nick Bosa got something in common.
Oh, look at you. He's not a quitter, dude. He did what was best for him. Like I had to do what was best for me.
Killing you on the board.
Yeah. Oh, dude, come on. Anyways, but where will we go? Oh yeah, I'm coming up with some funny, with some good quality stuff here for my training regiments, kind of leading into this thing. But 500 yards,
yeah, piece of cake.
I like cake.
There'll be cake at the party.
I like cake. But no, register wingam.com for, again, the Half K Draft Dash presented by Buckeye Vodka, the Spirit of Ohio. Again, you can register there. It's going to be a good time. We're all going to be out there, and we're hoping that a lot of the names of all of you that interact with us in the comment section, we can put some faces with those names. Even if you don't like me, it's fine. Y'all like Ken.
Hey, you know what you should bring back? The Kenner listener chart. What did you call it?
Top 10. Kenner's top 10.
Yeah. Kenner's top 10. I would say a chart. But yeah, Kenner's top 10.
Kenner's top 10, and then maybe we can have an award for the top 10 if they come out to the see now the ideas are going.
Yeah, there you go. Trophy.
We could do a trophy.
Yeah.
Half K Draft Dash, Community Golf Course, March 17th. Get registered today, wingam.com. Again, the Half K Draft Dash presented by Buckeye Vodka. Okay, we welcome you back. Justin Kenner, Kev Nash with you here on 1410 ESPN Radio. How about this? Volleyball.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, volleyball is a huge deal in Nebraska, and such a huge deal to the point that Nebraska has announced plans to host a volleyball game in Memorial Stadium in August. Memorial Stadium is where the football team plays, just to kind of put that into context here. Kev, they are looking to shatter their own NCAA volleyball attendance record, which is at 18,755. That's
for
their
volleyball match?
For a volleyball match, yes.
Oh my God.
So apparently it's a big deal. By the way, so I call all of Wright State's volleyball matches for all their home matches throughout the season. I obviously do football, basketball, all that stuff. People ask me all the time, like, what's your favorite sports that you call games for? And I said, honestly, basketball will always be my all-time favorite. I love basketball. It's not football. Volleyball is my second favorite. Volleyball is actually a ton of fun. That is my second favorite sport to call a game or to call a match for. Sorry, not game. They don't like when you call it game. But match. But volleyball is my second favorite sport to call games, matches, whatever you want to call it for. It's fast-paced. It's exciting. The crowds are just into it the entire time. I work for the OHSA, and I call all the state volleyball championships at the Nutter Center every year. I always circle that on the calendar. I always look forward to that. But yeah, volleyball, if you see anything on the Big Ten Network for these volleyball matches, these home ones, like they literally fill the Cavelli Center over in Columbus. We did the TBT stuff from there 2 years ago when we were calling the Flyer games or the Red Scare games.
Yeah.
We were doing all their games, and then Carmen's crew. They're coming back, by the way, Carmen's crew.
I saw that.
But Carmen's, so we were doing those games from the Cavelli Center, and that is a really cool volleyball venue as well, but those fit 4,000 or 5,000. That's about, but that's the expected attendance for that level of play. But 18,755 is Nebraska's attendance record for volleyball, and they are going to, for the first time, host a match at Nebraska's football stadium, Memorial Stadium, in August.
That is cool.
That is pretty
cool.
neat.
I mean, it automatically makes me think about how when in hockey they bring the games outside and pack football stadiums and everything like that. So this is cool. This is what sports is all about. Venturing out to do cool new things. Obviously, back in the day in college basketball, they used to do those games on aircraft carriers and things of that nature. I love these different type of venues.
I think Ohio State Now they did that again this year. I thought they brought it back.
Did they?
I think they
I
did
must
an
have missed
aircraft
it.
carrier, or at least some kind of ship or something. They did. It was outside, but if you remember, I believe it was Ohio State, North Carolina. This would have been back in 2009 or 10. I think it was supposed to be Ohio State versus North Carolina or Michigan State versus North Carolina. It was one of those two. But I remember they canceled the game. They didn't make it up because the condensation on the floor, it wasn't safe. So he had all these people there to watch that. Really cool. I mean, I can't imagine being in charge of that and having to cancel and just how pissed off people were. But yes, there is something exciting about those. But look, when you're football and when you're basketball, a lot of times, like the NBA, a lot of times you don't have to do these little cutesy bootsy little things where you take your sport. But again, I do think it's you see sports that are just trying to get more mainstream headlines and stuff. But I don't think that's what this is. I mean, when you're at college, you're not trying to get mainstream headlines. You're just trying to, to have something cool to build around.
Creating experience.
I think this is neat what Nebraska's doing with their volleyball program.
It was the Carrier Classic back in 2012, November of 2012. Ohio State was going to play
Virginia Tech.
VTech. And
That's right.
No. Marquette.
Okay.
Marquette, yep.
Okay. Well, I said that confidently. I even got you to repeat it as if, you were just as confident as me.
VTech was also on the bill. They were playing as well.
Interesting, nonetheless. All right, well, I tell you what, we're going to step away for a few minutes. Kenner and Cav right here on 1410 ESPN Radio. Excited to be hanging out with each and every one of you here on a Monday. For every one of you in our listening area, and by the way, got, keeping track of the weather out and about. Be weather aware. Is that what they call be weather aware? I'm not making light of that. I'm being serious. We all know what happened on Memorial Day a few years ago and stuff. And since then, this city has just been very cognizant of any kind of weather issues that we've had. But just keep an eye out, be weather aware, be safe. And we hope that those who have been impacted by the surrounding weather today, that you are safe and that everyone is okay. But nonetheless, glad you're hanging out with us. Hour 2 coming up next. Don't go anywhere.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash on 1410 ESPN Radio.
College basketball freaking heats up this year like never before. Frickers brings back a fan favorite, frickin' street tacos that add to the drama that the tournament provides. Frickin' chicken tacos, charbroiled chicken tacos, and Mississippi barbecue tacos. Frickers also scores with a 48-ounce personal pitcher of ice-cold domestic draft beer for only $6.50 all the games. Frickin' street tacos, $6.50 personal pitchers, nowhere else but the home for fun, food, sports, and spirits, Frickers.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate through the site within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free. Just go to this exclusive web address, ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
What makes AutoZone America's #1 battery destination? Because they offer free battery testing and charging and reliable replacement batteries. And they've always got your battery solution. Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Dayton sports fans, for more local sports content, make sure to subscribe to Dayton's ESPN Radio YouTube channel. And don't miss the Miami Valley's only local sports talk show, The Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, weekdays from 3 to 6 p.m. on 1410 Wing AM. WING 1410 Dayton, Dayton's ESPN Radio.
Kenner and Cav back with you here on 1410 ESPN Radio. So we were, during the break, we're talking about Mr. Basketball for Ohio, and I was trying to figure out, we were fortunate to have Gabe Cupps from Centerville take it home last year.
Mm-hmm.
where are we at right now as far as like, do we have another potential Mr. Basketball in the year? We had Samari Curtis a few years ago from Xenia. Obviously, I think y'all heard of Luke Kennard, but we've been fortunate here in the Miami Valley to have some really good high school basketball talent, nonetheless. And, and we still do, Mr. Basketball if we don't have a finalist here in the area for that, it doesn't mean that we don't have good talent in the area. But my goodness, Dayton, we have just been spoiled with the talent here in the Miami Valley. I know boys and girls tournament, OHSA, state tournaments are going on right now. I guess the regionals for the girls is this week. Is that this week or next? Yeah, we're already wrapping up. The boys are heading into districts. So yeah, because boys are heading into districts this week. So state tournament, UD Arena coming up. UD Arena is going to be a happening place here for the next month. You got, of course, the boys and girls state tournament, and then obviously the first four. So pretty exciting stuff. But, I just remember when I was growing up, Kev, and I graduated in 08. And I remember every year you hear about the Mr. Basketballs, and even when I was younger than when I was a senior in high school. And Norm Greavy and I talked about this on the show, I think last week, but we're just kind of looking at, man, you think back to when I was in high school around that 08, 07, 06, 05 area right there, you had your Mr. Basketballs were your William Bufords, who'd go on to play at Ohio State. One of the best all-time scorers, one of the, top all-time scorers there for Ohio State. John Diebler. All right. OJ Mayo, Jamar Butler, who played at Lima. Shawnee over in Lima, LeBron James and guys like that.
Who?
Exactly. Then you have your Trey Burks and your Luke Kennards and Caleb Westons and guys like that. And then we talked about our local guys and Gabe Cups and you go back Samari Curtis in 19 and all that stuff. But do you feel like the talent in Ohio has gotten better from when we were younger or worse? And this isn't a shot at any high schoolers. It's not what it is. But I've talked to a couple guys and even coaches in the Miami coaches too that have talked about the fact that yes, talent in Ohio is not where it was. There's still talent here, but it's not what it was even 10 years ago.
I think it goes in ebbs and flows. I think right now sounds crazy, a quote unquote down spark for high school basketball in the state of Ohio, because you talked about some of those guys on that list. And I go back to I'm a little bit older than you. So I look at some of the guys that won when I was in high school. You talk about a Damon Stringer, you talk about a Jason Collard, you talk about Kenny Gregory from Columbus, you talk about Sonny Johnson from Cleveland. A lot of those guys made the NBA, maybe not be superstars or potentially best players of all times like a LeBron James or anything like that, but those dudes sniffed the NBA for a hot second. Then, you talked about the guys that were in your era of high school. Those guys touched the NBA, and some of those guys balled out in the NBA, have very successful careers. Right now, I don't necessarily think that we have the ton of NBA talent. Now, I'm looking at this are any of these guys in it? Bradham from St. V. He's in the NBA. He plays for the Spurs. So I'm just looking at some of these guys. I know Xavier Simpson. He's in the G League, but I'm just looking at the last 5 years. A lot of these guys aren't quote unquote NBA caliber players.
Yeah. And again, it's no shot at these kids, by the way. That's why I always get people ask why more sport, in cities like Dayton, Columbus, and others, why high school sports is not a center point in conversation. For one, I do believe you get to more smaller, up near, I'm from Van Wert, Ohio. It's where I went to high school, and they're smaller market radio over there. They focus more on the high school scene because that's more their scene over there. But the thing that's interesting and fascinating about it is that works. So we talked all the time earlier, we're talking about the Jake Paul and stuff like that about, we can't be mad at boxing for pushing them. They're only pushing them because we, the listeners, push it. Well, it's kind of like here, we talk about what we talk about because we base it on what you guys tell us you guys want to talk about. For whatever reason, high school sports doesn't, from a segment standpoint, move the needle. But it is interesting when you look at this. I think the other reason I get uncomfortable with that too is I don't like bad mouthing the kids. These are kids. I remember what it was like being a high school athlete. There's only so much you could do and whatever. But no, the talent does not seem to be where it was even 10 years ago or nonetheless. I think some of this too, and this is something Norm Greavy and I talked about the other day, is the fact that you have those select teams, you have those, the AAU, and you have so if you have any, and we see it all the time, the flying to the hoop, and this is nothing that flying to the hoop, by the way, Eric Horseman has nothing to do with any of these guys, but flying to the hoop, and then even the Top Gun showcase and everything that, with those types of things, those are the prep teams, the best prep teams in the country. And they come in and we see all that talent on display. But every time you watch Aspire Academy, every time you watch one of those great prep teams that we pay good money for to go watch play. Every time you watch one of those teams, there's 10 kids, that is 10 high schools that missed out on an opportunity to have that small town high school experience with.
Right.
They're not wrong for going the prep team route, because there's a lot of colleges who invest heavily into those. As far as the time that they look, that's why some of these schools are pipelines to certain schools. It's because they certain colleges, you have an entire country's worth of players, and now you have an entire world's worth of players that you're trying to keep an eye on. But if you have a pretty good relationship with Spire, a pretty good relationship with this prep team, you trust that prep program. You trust that what they are coaching and what they're building is going to be the type of player that you like. Sometimes you keep dipping your hand in that well more and more. And parents and players, they go that route. They pay that money to go that route. It's a safer route, yada, yada. But I do think that as prep teams have become bigger and more popular, we've seen the local scene take a hit. Maybe not so much as around here as much, but like I said, every time you go to Fly Into the Hoop, Top Gun Showcase, you're watching every athlete on there. You are watching a high school that was robbed of an opportunity to have that feel good high school moment that we all had growing up. That's not a shot at those kids. Just you don't take it that way, but it's the reality.
Yeah. When you have prep programs, and I think the prep programs get kind of like a bad look from an older generation, but I always equate it to, the Catholic leagues. Growing up in Cleveland, I know tons of guys that I went to middle school with on our basketball and football team who got scouted by the Catholic schools. So, they'll be at our practices or whatever. And, let's just say his name is Tommy, and Tommy's our best player on our football team. He's getting talked to by St. Ed's and St. Ignatius and things of that nature. Or Bob is our best basketball player. He's getting scouted to potentially go to these private schools. And what mom and dad wouldn't want their kid to go to these St. Benedictines or St. Ed's for a discounted price? You know what I'm saying? Like, that's just the reality of it. So I really don't knock the prep schools for doing this, because the Catholic League schools have been doing this for quite a long time, coming into different areas of whatever city they're in and quote unquote getting the best talent to come to their school. So I really don't have a big problem with it. It kind of is what it is, but that doesn't negate what happens on the basketball court with the talent, because we have a ton of great talent here in the Miami Valley. You want to talk about George Washington III from CJ, he's going to Michigan. You want to talk about Cups from Centerville, he's going to Indiana. You want to talk about Rice, he's from Huber Heights, he's going to Murray State. Look, man, any of those dudes can come in here and beat me and Kenner by themselves. Like, that's how good they are. So it's no slight on those dudes. Those dudes can definitely hoop, and I'm sure there's a ton of other talent in the city that I'm leaving off that list.
Yeah, so this is why these are one of those segments that as I've gotten older, I've learned how to talk about something without it being in an attacking form, because I have no issue with athletes going that route. I wasn't good enough to go that route. And I guarantee you, if I was good enough, I probably would have gone that route. Like, let's just be real. Like, I think we all know that when we are younger and our families hear of opportunities that, hey, this increases your chances. Although the do-gooder coaches out there will tell you, oh, no, they have just as much of an opportunity to be found here as you do with the prep. Maybe there's plenty of examples that's the case. But if this increases your chances and you're going to be surrounded by like talent and you're going to be able to, whatever, I'm fine with this. I don't have an issue with it. But where I'm coming from is I was not that super athletic, great athlete in high school. I was the fan in high school, and that's how I could relate to the majority of our listeners. We all know how special it is to think back to your high school days and be in that student section and have those elite teams that you'll always remember. You know what I mean? Like, you go back to your class reunions and you talk about, Ron Howard brought up Bishop Sycamore. So whatever, Ron. But you go back to your class reunions and, you talk about the good old days, and some schools get robbed of that because there is no good old days, because anytime a good athlete starts being developed, they're plucked away.
Yeah.
Good for that athlete, good for that family of that athlete. They've done nothing wrong, but those communities get robbed of those opportunities. Both could be true. It's great opportunity for those kids. It's great opportunity for them to have that chance to go to that next level. But also the local communities get hit by that. Maybe that's why, it's harder to fall in love with the high school athletic scene in certain areas.
As you call them, the do-gooders, they do have a point, because you think about...
Are you a do-gooder with it?
I am.
No, that's fine.
I am, because you think about a player like Luke Kennard, he got found. So was he found by playing in high school basketball? I don't think he was found by playing high school basketball. I think he was found on the AAU circuit playing all across the country. So I could be way off base here. I don't necessarily think that you need to go to a different high school or go to a prep school. Maybe you want to go to a prep school to really maximize your skill set and then really push you because you're playing against other like athletes all the time, not only in games, but in practices. And you know what I'm saying? There's a lot to be said about iron sharpening iron and playing against elite competition every single day, getting you better and better. But I think it's really like the AAU circuit where it really gets a lot of guys' names out there. We are familiar with the big Ohio team, All Ohio Red. They've produced so many guys to go D1, so many guys to go to the NBA. So that's a question I would ask like a local coach, or even, you know, potentially one day when we get Daquan in the building, maybe we can ask his thoughts on that type of stuff. But I really think it's twofold. I think it is the high school thing, but I'm really the getting recognized by coaches. It's going to these ABCD camps. I know that's an old term, but like they used to have the Adidas camp, they have the Nike camp, they have the LeBron camp. They have a lot of camps that these young athletes go to get to showcase. So when they go back to their home team or their home high school team, I don't necessarily think that it's a ton of coaches coming to scout them to say, oh man, I want him for my program. I know we see a lot of college coaches come to the city, but I think they're just there to continue the recruiting process and see the kid because they've seen them at their height on the circuit, so to speak.
I'm curious people's thoughts on this because people are very passionate about this exact issue. Thumbs up, thumbs down on the prep team scene. Is there enough of a benefit for prep teams that you could justifiably agree with why some of these players leave? Or like Kev said, he brought up Luke Kennard. That's a prime example right there. That's the type of talent that usually you see leave to join those prep teams. He chose to stay at Franklin, and that's actually a very good example, Kev. So I appreciate that one. But that's usually, unfortunately, not the case. And if you talk to certain coaches in the area, a lot of they knew they had very good quality teams, but their players get plucked to go join those.
Mm-hmm.
Or here's the other scary truth behind it all: the local recruiting scene, things that local high schools don't like when you talk about that. I did learn early. You know, I remember it was a Braxton Miller conversation when I very first started, and that was the first time I had a hot take on something that really irritated people, and it involved the Springfields and the Waynes and and I was like, well, I mean, I didn't know that the truth really bothered people that much, but it is what it is. But like, if it's going to go on, and this is back when, God, who was the football coach at Wayne all those years? He was at UD's defensive coordinator. He went over there. That's my bad. But he was there forever, did a great job. 30 play. I mean, he was there forever. But no, nonetheless, the bottom line is yes, that happens too. And you talk about the Catholic schools.
Mm-hmm.
We're just not even a block away from one over here in Kettering. So it just Jay Minton. Thank you, Nick. So that's what you got to do. But, it is what it is. But the recruiting scene is also why some hosts stay away from the local talk, is because there's bad blood between fan bases and school bases and stuff like that. So nonetheless. It's all right. Kenner and Cab with you here on 1410 ESPN Radio. Let's see. We are an hour and a half in and no NFL talk. Man, my goodness.
Can we do a whole show without any NFL talk?
Nope.
You think we can do it? No association?
Jacob Fightmaster says when it comes to high school recruiting, it's winning that gets noticed.
I don't think so.
Jacob, elaborate a little bit. I'm not saying you're wrong, not saying you're right either. I'm curious what you mean by that. When it comes to high school recruiting, it's winning that gets noticed. So is that why you think some parents take their kids and move them to a different school district, or they send them to those prep teams? But what if those prep teams lose? That's why I disagree. Their prep teams are a collection of all great players, but there are bad prep teams. So
right.
I'm curious, what do you mean? Just kind of elaborate that a little bit. I am kind of curious what you mean by that, but nonetheless. Kenner and Cobb with you here on 1410 ESPN Radio. Nick says, how about the XFL? How about the XFL?
I saw a couple highlights. That's
your XFL talk, Nick. However, if you have something on the XFL you'd like to chime in on, please go ahead. Jacob Fightmaster says, teams that win have good players. Teams that have a lot of losses don't get noticed.
Oh, well, yeah.
You're simplifying that big time.
I thought he was going to dig for something deeper. Of course. But I just don't think that they're looking at high school basketball as that recruiting mechanism to bring them to college. It's just not. I mean, you can look at how the NBA views college. They're not looking at your wins and losses. I mean, they didn't make the tournament at LSU. Ben Simmons, freshman year, first pick in the draft. Like, they really do coaches really care about that? Coaches care about you as a talent.
Kevin Durant.
Like, can you put ball in hole? Oh, he can. Oh, his team is 0-20. He's averaging 30. He can play for me.
Kenner and Cap with you on 1410 ESPN Radio. So we don't have the Red Spring training game on today, but Hunter Green was on the mound today. He was called for a couple of violations.
So a violation gets you automatic strike, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So, and this is for the same for hitters too. I saw a game ended on a called strike on a violation.
Ooh, that's gonna hurt.
But I love it. I love chaos. I love chaos. But David Bell had some comments about the violations on Hunter Green. By the way, this is why this spring training could be fun, is because I think you're going to see a lot of guys get a lot more reps than usual because they need to start pitching in these live game experience, hitting and pitching in these live game experiences. So we're talking about these changes in baseball. Could this create one horrific start to April for baseball? I feel like if y'all thought that we were talking a lot about officiating during the NFL playoffs, we're about to be really angry about umpires come baseball season when we get to April when the games matter most. My goodness. We'll get to that. The NFL, the Cleveland Browns stadium conversations coming up. And forget the Browns is going to be how we lead into the conversation, but it's the direction of NFL teams in general. Kev believes that you said after your lifetime. I think it'll be before.
I think you and I will be gone, but it's going to happen. Everybody's going to play in a dome.
Domes are coming around the league. Every team will play in a dome in the next.
How old am I? Hold on.
Yeah, but you said you were older than me. Don't be killing me off. Don't be killing me off with you.
Okay, how about this? I'll be old, living in a home. Me and Shayla will be living in a home together. And I'm like, oh, they finally got all domes. And she's going to be like, turn it off. I'm sick of it. We've been watching football for 90 years.
So well, you go to a dome where it's nice and warm and comfortable now. Nick, real quick on the XFL. So the XFL games have been entertaining. Love the rule changes, kickoff, punt ability to challenge any call, 4th and 15 instead of onside. So there's that.
I like the fact that they have the mics in the huddle so you can hear the calls and you can hear the guys goofing around in there. You can hear some of the offensive linemen barking at the quarterback about a call or run to my side, or the wide receiver like I'm open. Like, I like to hear that type of stuff. And you love chaos, so that's right up your alley.
Yep. There we go. I tell you what, we got plenty still to get to here today. Nick, thank you for that. We're not sidestepping that. We're going to get to some of that. I think it kind of ties in well with some of the rule changes in baseball and some of the rule changes you'd love to see in other sports nonetheless. But Kenner and Cab with you here on 1410 ESPN Radio. We will be right back.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash on 1410 ESPN Radio.
ESPN 1410 Wing AM weather.
The forecast calling for clouds and showers, breezy, 40 the low, and then for tomorrow, decreasing clouds and 52. Wednesday, sunshine and 69. I'm Rich Shrimp for 1410 ESPN Radio.
Do you have an oak tree in your yard? The Ohio Chapter International Society of Arboriculture is committed to advancing responsible tree care practices while preventing a fungal disease called oak wilt. They remind those who own and manage oak trees the best time to prune is November to early March. To find out more, there are over 1,000 qualified tree experts in Ohio. To find an ISA-certified arborist in your area, visit treesforohio.org. That's trees, the number 4, ohio.org.
3 people you should be 100% certain about: your barber, your plumber, and your tax pro. Switch to Jackson Hewitt and you can be 100% certain about your taxes. We'll get you your maximum refund guaranteed, and we'll back your return for life. Don't be kind of certain or almost certain. Be 100% certain. Switch to Jackson Hewitt today and get 50% off tax prep. Limited time offer for new clients filing at participating locations. Max value $200. Visit jacksonhewitt.com/50 for terms.
Hi, I'm Martha Stewart, and I have a question for you. You know that unwelcome guest everyone wishes would just leave already? That's COVID-19. That's why I got an updated booster designed to help protect against recent Omicron variants. Got it? Check eligibility and schedule your updated COVID booster at vaccines.gov. Sponsored by Pfizer and BioNTech.
By now, you should know Audio Etc. has all the same sales and deals on TVs and projectors as everyone else. But did you know we also have some of the world's best hi-fi? Hi, this is Kirby from Audio Etc. And we do have some of the best home theater, high-fidelity gear on the planet. Not only do we have your favorite brands like Clip speakers and SVS subwoofers, but audiophile greats from Bowers & Wilkins, Kef, NAD, Marantz, Cambridge, Mark Levinson, and plenty of vinyl and tube gear. Plus exotics you only see in the magazines. Stop by today and visit Audio Etc.'s crazy cool showroom and see and audition the best audio and video has to offer. While you're in, check out our huge selection of pre-owned vintage gear. A great way to afford great gear otherwise out of reach, or revisit old classics. Audio Etc. Sound advice you can trust. Audio Etc. 551 Congress Park Drive at the corner of Paragon in Centerville, or call 434-9770.
Audio Etc. Crazy cool showroom.
Cordell Transportation is hiring third shift dispatcher / customer service representatives. Excellent pay, great benefits, no experience necessary, and paid training. Apply online at CordellTransportation.com or stop in today at 2942 Boulder Avenue in Dayton. Equal opportunity employer.
You have empty office space to fill or home office to create. You know what you need. You know what you'd like. But you also have a pretty good idea after you've shopped around the usual places what you need and what you like might not happen. Well, then you haven't been to Charles Larrick's Warehouse Outlet. Nobody has their selection. Nobody has their discounts. And every week, there's something new. If you need office furniture, Larrick's Warehouse Outlet can sell it to you for half the price and below manufacturer's selected prices. Half price and below on hundreds of items. Selection from budget to the best. Really, desks from $50 to $5,000. Filing cabinets from $25 to $500. Before you go anywhere else, do yourself a favor and come to Larrick's Warehouse Outlet. With 25,000 square feet of selection, you're not going to go anywhere else. Larrick's Warehouse Outlet at 23 McOil Avenue, Dayton. Open Monday through Friday, 9 to 6. Larrick's, continuing the tradition.
I'm Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. I learned about atrial fibrillation the hard way. My symptoms would come and go. Shortness of breath, fatigue. I kept going. Then I got so lightheaded, I couldn't. My doctor said I have AFib, so I'm about 5 times more likely to have a stroke. Other symptoms, irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain can come and go, but the risk of stroke stays. If you have symptoms, tell a doctor. Visit notimetowait.com.
Sponsored by Bristol-Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
Let's be real. Mopping is a hassle. You have to fill the bucket, pushing a wet, heavy mop around, then cleaning the mop when you're done so it doesn't grow bacteria. A hassle on top of a hassle. Try Swiffer WetJet. With Swiffer WetJet, you start with a fresh pad and cleaning solution every time. And when you're done, you just toss the pad. Swiffer WetJet, the faster, easier, cleaner way to clean your floors.
The Big Hoopla Free STEM Challenge is back. Bring the family to the Dayton Convention Center Sunday, March 12th. On-site registration begins at 11:30 a.m. with the opening ceremony at 1 p.m. Experience the passion for college basketball and the power of STEM education. Enjoy hands-on exhibits and compete in the basketball hotshot with prizes awarded. K through 8th grade students may pre-register for the free STEM Challenge championed by Chaminade Julian High School at DaytonHoopla.com.
Free battery testing, free battery charging, and replacement batteries that fit your needs. That's what makes AutoZone America's #1 battery destination. Get in the zone. AutoZone.
Jeff Graham.
Trotwood's coach. Okay.
Trotwood, yeah. Trotwood coach Jefferson County. And I always, I'm supposed to get out there later in the springtime. I'm going to come see him later in the spring. But I used to spend a lot of time when we played together at the Jets in Dayton, Ohio with him. I'm familiar with Bob Evans, as I always tease him. But man, only good food place y'all got out there. Bob Evans.
Don't miss the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash. Weekdays from 3 to 6 p.m. on Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM.
Kenner and Kev back with you here on 1410 ESPN Radio. We talked in the last segment, with the girls basketball regionals already this week. Districts tipping off for boys basketball. State tournament coming up around the corner for boys and girls basketball here in the Miami Valley. Pretty exciting. UD Arena, First Four coming up around the corner. But we're talking about like just the talent. I was looking at when the other day, every Wednesday, Norm Greavy, his visit, by the way, brought to you by Milano's. Every Wednesday, he kind of hangs out with us for the last hour. But we were just talking about, the local high school scene and Gabe Cups and just, how we had winning Mr. Basketball last year, Samari Curtis back in 2019. But we were talking about some of the talent in Ohio alone and how fortunate we are here in the Miami Valley to have so much talent here locally. You looked up, I mean, there's so much talent. I mean, ESPN has the top 100 players from Ohio?
Mm-hmm. They got the top 100 players from Ohio. So the top 10, here's top 10 guys from Dayton. So they're
from
ranking,
Dayton?
ranking them. They got Cups at number 2. They got Washington III from CJ at number 5 and Rice number 7 from Hubert Heights.
Yeah, Laurent Rice, by the way, Wayne.
Yeah, so that's 30%. And so the Miami Valley is definitely well represented in ESPN's top 100 because they got 3 of the top 10 guys.
And do we know where George Washington III is going, by the way?
He is unfortunately going to that team up north.
He has committed.
Yeah.
My bad.
He's going
my bad,
to Michigan.
guys.
He's going to Michigan, man. He's going to be a Michigan man.
I know Dayton was, obviously looking, nonetheless. But Laurent Rice, by the way, I mean, he set Wayne's all-time scoring record this season. Nonetheless, that's a heck of a talent right there. But there was a stretch where Ohio. I know that we had, Chris Holtman in town looking at him and stuff.
Yep.
Ohio State was here. A lot of big schools were looking at him. Obviously,
Georgetown was here. Louisville. But a lot of those schools, like Georgetown, obviously they're having another terrible year, and all the stuff that's going on with Louisville. Those kind of schools kind of get mapped out because, hey, man, there's bad things going on. So it looks like he found a nice home at Murray State. So more power to him.
The house that Ja built.
Yeah. I mean, you can't tell me like that young kids like that don't see a guy like Ja Morant go forge your own path at a school like Murray State and make a name for themselves and prove that you don't have to, quote unquote, go to these national powers to, make your dreams come true. So, hey, man, I'm rooting for him.
Kind of like Obi at Dayton.
Yeah.
And that type of thing. I know Ja is a little different just because Ja had became a household name at a small school like Murray.
Yeah.
Had that success, that little run in the tournament. And then he's not just in the NBA, he's a megastar in the NBA. Obi, we've seen glimpses of his ability in the NBA, obviously, but like I said before, I've heard Charles Barkley and others say this too. Bad players in the NBA are still one of the best players in the entire world. And Obi's not a bad NBA player. Obviously, he's kind of being buried on the bench a little bit. We've seen him in multiple NBA All-Star dunk contests, winning one of them. He's won over a lot of the fans who are pissed off about his lack of playing time over there. But like Obi's another one. You can go to Dayton and develop there and be a lottery pick there and be a star in the NBA there. So I think that's interesting. How about the Dayton game over the weekend, by the way? So Sully was live at Tim's for the pregame on Saturday. Very excited. I heard the atmosphere there was just unfreaking believable. But Anthony Grant, look, and people think I just beat up on him too much. Keep in mind, this is a guy that I said, I think because of the fact that he was able to get them back on track after the rough start with all the injuries and the fact that he still has them at the top and a chance to win the regular season title and all that stuff and be a 1 seed at this, I said, he's my coach of the year. I was like, if they did what they were supposed to when they were a top 25 team and dominated the conference because of the talent gap and everything else, I'm not saying he's not a good coach because of that. I'm just saying he maybe doesn't win coach of the year because of that, because of, it's a storyline. I think coach of the year is always a storyline award more than anything.
Fair.
And that's how I always kind of view that a little bit. But then you look at Anthony Grant, the way they battled through injuries and everything. And I said, he would be my A-10 coach of the year just because of that. That doesn't take away the fact that I still think when it comes to close game situations, I don't think he's a very effective head coach. I think he's, in one possession games, he's a few games above 500, whatever. It doesn't mean he's a bad coach, but you're allowed to have your criticisms here and there. But when you're down 1 with 4 seconds, Kev, why in the blue blank are you out of bounds underneath your opponent's basket and you're heaving the ball down the floor like it's a setup play for Christian Laettner and they throw it out of bounds? And they don't have a chance to take the lead or win the game or anything like that. Like that's That's bad coaching. That falls back on coaching. Players, and they missed a lot of free throws, by the way, and all this stuff. Deron Holmes, fantastic play, had one of his best games ever as a Flyer. I mean, literally, other guys weren't stepping up around him. He dropped 30+. I mean, he was single-handedly dominating and keeping them in that ball game. And they lost at home in front of that crowd. I mean, that crowd's always electric. There was just something extra about that day. But yeah, that's on coaching, and that's what's frustrating. That's why fans, even though like you should feel good about this team heading into this conference tournament, but it's that, win or go home thing. It's, I mean, the NCAA tournament starts in the conference tournament because you have to win to advance. You have to win to advance to the next game, to the championship game, to the NCAA tournament, where it's a win in advanced stage 2. But it's like, this is why some fans are having a hard time buying into UD, because they'll dominate opponents and then they'll let an opponent like George Mason hang in on a game at home. And then bad decisions down the stretch, like that play call right there, is just, that can't happen. That's on coaching at the end of the day. That just cannot happen. And I'd be saying that about Coach Nagy, Chris Holtmann, any coach. It's not like I'm picking on Anthony Grant. That's a bad call. People got mad at me for highlighting that on Facebook. I'm like, y'all can be mad at me all you want, but the bottom line is that's not a good decision. And I can't defend that. I just can't.
So for me, coaching is an extension of teaching. You have to teach the players what you want them to do so they can obviously execute it on the floor. With that being said, I've only seen that heave down the court work twice. One, you talked about Christian Laettner, and then the other was probably the second best big man passer we've seen over the last, 30, 40 years in the NBA, Kevin Love, when he threw it to LeBron James and he caught it on the sideline versus the Wizards and banked it in.
Bang!
To tie the game up. So that play never works. So I automatically think the player went rogue, because ain't no way.
And that's to be fair, valid. That could have been maybe it wasn't a play call per se.
Yeah.
To your point, maybe it wasn't AG saying, yelling that out.
Yeah.
But man, when everyone looked like they were on the same page, like
right,
that just seemed weird to me.
To be perfectly honest, I did not see the play.
Yeah,
I was flipping back and forth and I missed that play. So for me, when that type of thing happens, because I watch a lot of college basketball and that seems to happen more often than not, like they try to heave it down court. And let's be clear, dude, these dudes are basketball players. The fact that Kevin Love is one of the best passers we've ever seen from the big man position, the fact that Joker can do that type of stuff, like, that's how rare it is where these dudes look like quarterbacks back there tossing the ball like that. So I automatically think player went rogue. Coach never draws it up. It's impossible, because they know it doesn't work too. If I know it and I'm just Kev sitting on the couch watching a ton of basketball, like, oh, this never works, and it doesn't work. The coaches know that too. So I think the player went rogue, even though I didn't even see it.
If player went rogue, then that's understandable too.
But that's also bad coaching.
Yes, because it's going to be having your team prepared, and you should practice those moments and all that. And again, I'm in my chair. I got a mic in front of me. I'm out of breath when I walk up the stairs. Who am I? I get it. I brought up the fact that I was defending my take on this by saying I'm not beating up on Anthony Grant. I think he's done a great job this year. I said I think he should be, and I don't think he will be. I think he should be the A-10 coach of the year with the way they've been able to battle through injuries. And you have a fan base, a good majority, piling on him saying how bad a job he's doing, but yet you look and they're well above 500. They're right there at the top. They have a chance to still get the number 1 seed. Right now, they're just, at this point, you're just playing to get that double bye.
Yeah.
So you have to win 3 games to get to the NCAA tournament. And ultimately, as bad and as up and down as this season has been, Dayton still has a chance to do that. But like I said, they have a habit, and this is why I can't trust them come A-10 tournament, Kev. They have a habit of playing down to their opponent. And I don't want to hear that George Mason, that's still a team that's above 500. That's a good team. I don't like when we do that. I don't like when we say, well, the A-10's a better conference than we thought. That team's better than we. Stop it. You have 2 NBA dudes on your team. 2 NBA dudes on your team. You have Malachi Smith. You have Sher Jumps, who, by the way, they got to find a way to make sure that they're keeping that kid happy, because that kid, I think, by the way, you had Malachi Smith, who made just a horrendous turnover down the stretch. I mean, just not looking and just trying to, dump the pass down low and turned it over. You can't have that. You just cannot have that down the stretch, especially when that's one of the players that's supposed to be one of the reasons that you're at the top.
Mm-hmm.
Can't have that. Too many mistakes. They play down to the level of their opponent. That can't happen. But to their credit, they do play up to the caliber of their opponent as well. Jesse, he goes, the Gordon Hayward pass against Duke almost worked. I remember that.
Almost.
I remember that. That was
nice pick. I always forget the guy that set the pick, That guy,
Matt
Gordon
Howard.
Hayward. Yes,
I had him on. Not too, I'd work for the Horizon League and I do that podcast, and I know the Butler's not in there anymore, but it's the anniversary of that not too long ago. I remember we had him on and was just chatting about that. He goes, yeah, he rocked the hell out of that dude.
Woo!
But he said he still gets, he talks about that to this day. Matt Howard, I think he's a realtor right now over in Indianapolis.
Sure.
So,
dude, I'm sure he's doing very well for
Yeah.
himself. But if Gordon Hayward were able to make that shot, I mean, that's a 30 for 30 all into itself.
that would have changed not landscape, but it would have changed the landscape of that conference and, of course, for that school. That school did. It moved up. It did what a lot of schools are wanting to do: move up and get out of their conference. But
got him drafted too.
Got him drafted.
Got him drafted in the first round, very high.
And
Got
he got paid
by
max
the
contract.
Celtics and got paid by the Hornets.
So, nonetheless, all right.
And he was a one-time All-Star when he played with the Jazz.
Kenner and Kev with you here on 1410 ESPN Radio. Nonetheless, all right. So something else we touched on a little bit ago, Kev. Hunter Green was called for 2 violations. This is Charlie Goldsmith, by the way, with the Cincinnati Enquirer. We had Charlie on the show last week from spring training. How about this? He's with the Enquirer. I know he came on, and sometimes guys are sitting down for like a week, get some content, come back, blah, blah, blah. His job really loves him. He's down there for the whole stretch.
Really?
Yeah, he covers the Bengals and them too. So like last year, he was there for the whole stretch. He went from Los Angeles last year covering the Super Bowl to going right to Arizona for spring training. I'm like, see, that you're why people grow up wanting to work in sports media, right there.
Facts.
And then our bosses are like, hey, we forgot to tell you there's a tornado. We're going to go downstairs. No, I'm joking. I'm always making smart ass comments every time, and it's I just got to stop. But like,
you act like they don't listen to the show.
When I went out into the hallway and I'm looking at my boss, I said, hey, what's our, if we are going to get hit by this tornado, what's our workers' comp policy on this stuff? And they didn't find it funny. I'm like, what the hell? If you can't find that funny in our last moments on earth, potentially, and you can't find that. Come on. That was funny. I am a little curious. A tornado does hit us. What is there workers' comp for people who get hit at work? Why not?
No.
Was that work? I wouldn't have happened if I wasn't here. Get more PTO. I could have been off today. You never know. I blame the work. Mike still hot? My mic sound nice?
Check 1.
Brett's like, what this idiot? Anyway, so Hunter Green, this all started just because I was talking about Charlie Goldsmith anyways. And Charlie Goldsmith with the Enquirer tweeted this out earlier. Hunter Green has been called for 2 violations today on the pitch clock. The last one was between innings. David Bell said that he has been in constant communication with players to get answers about specific situations. So if you're called for something, even if you understand why, you need to go get an explanation because every situation can be different. Some of the timing is still uncertain for everyone. I do believe this is why it's very important. Like, let me ask you this, Kev. How should umpires approach this? Because if you're baseball, you can't be soft here. You can't be wishy-washy. You can't let some situations go and then be tight on others. This is why people get mad at NFL officiating. It's, you let them play like that all 3.5 quarters, but then that's a penalty in the final drive of the Super Bowl. You can't ignore the pitch clock. You can't ignore the timing in between, at bats and the other. You can't ignore that in innings 1 through 7, and then in innings 8 and 9, decide you want to tighten that up. So this is going to be a very weird transition. I'm telling you right now, April, the majority of our show is going to be about bitching about umpires and officiating in baseball. I believe that's going to, how come they don't call it on him? Or, the Yankees they let the Yankees get, their pitcher watch. They let him get an extra couple seconds, but our pitchers, they don't. I believe it's going to be a very stressful season for Major League Baseball umpires. Yes, for the players who are trying to learn this and everything like that. But if you're an umpire, are you obnoxiously tight with this to start spring training in the regular season? Or are you loosey-goosey because it's a transition for everybody? What do you think Major League Baseball head personnel is telling their umpires as far as how to approach this? Cutthroat, no exceptions, by the book, do not give any kind of leeway one way or another, because the only way you're going to learn is that tough love? Or do you kind of be weary with it? How do you think that they're being instructed to handle this, and how should they be instructed to handle this?
I think they're being instructed to be kind of loosey-goosey, because that's how all officiating is. That's how they all are. Like, every crew is not going to officiate the exact same way. What I would prefer is loose in the start, because you're just getting there, first week of the games and everything like that. Spring training is a month long. Week 2, tighten it up. Week 3, tighten it up. Week 4, hey, this is how we're going to be calling it when we get to the real. So you have a week to adjust. So you have a whole month to adjust to how we're going to be doing things, but tighten it up closer and closer we get to real games.
It's interesting.
And this is your point about what we're talking about off air about, hey, make sure dudes are getting real at bats. It's not a whole bunch of rest, because you don't want your practice at bats to be when the games really count and you out here getting strikes and you didn't even get a chance to step into the box.
It's fair. I don't know what the right or wrong answer is, because everything you said I agree with. Loosey-goosey to start, let people get time and acclimated to it. But you only get 1 month. You get 1 month to get acclimated before you get to April. And then you have April, May, June, July, August, September, and October. And just so you guys know, I'm saying all of those and counting them out loud just so I had the right number down. But you have 1 month to get the rule down for 6 to 7 months worth of baseball.
Yeah.
That's why I could also understand it if they are going to be. I think in April, there's going to be so many games impacted by this. I think it was the Red Sox over the weekend. They lost on a called strike 3 because he had 2 strikes and he wasn't in the box by a certain time. And if you're not in the box by a certain time, it's called strike. And that's how they lost. Now you end in tie in extra inning or in spring training.
Right.
So that won't happen. You won't. But imagine in the regular season and bases loaded, bottom of the 9th, you have a chance to win it, 2 strikes. You step out of the box and you forget, oh, crap, I've been conditioned this. Got to get back. Oh, you got in there too late. Strike 3, you lose the game. Fans will be furious. Managers will be furious. And the umpires will be in the right. But we're going to do what we did in the Super Bowl and say, well, you don't do that there. No, you do that. This is why I think you're cutthroat now. I think you do. I think you're nitpicky. I think right off the bat. I don't think you're wrong either way, but I think you're going to be impacted. You're going to see effects of it. If you're loosey-goosey to start, you're going to have a lot of problems trying to get people on board in the regular season. And what you can't have happen is, well, that's not a penalty like we do in the NFL. That's not a penalty in quarters 1 through 3.5. But that final drive of the Super Bowl now, you have been calling the pitch clock all game, but here in the bottom of the 9th, now you're going to walk the bases loaded, or you're going to, walk in the winning run because now you wanted to call the pitch clock or whatever. I see a problem. I see a problem developing if that is the case.
So you would know better than I would, because I haven't watched any of these games yet. The pitch clock is on the field.
It's on the field right now. Right now, it's like, so if you're watching some of the games I watched over the weekend, some people complained about it because that's what we do. We complain about everything. The pitch clock is in the outfield, but they're going to be moving it by the regular season, they said, so that it wouldn't be directly in the line of the viewer.
Mm-hmm.
But the umpire will be, looking at, but see, I just see that to almost sometimes be counterproductive. I don't know, because you're watching that clock, but watching the pitcher, watching the clock, watching the pitcher, but that's just where it's at. It's on the field. Fans will be able to see it as well.
So, all right, if we have a clock for the pitch count, is it simply how it is in basketball, like with the 5-second rule or the 10-second rule to get
the actual clock?
No, I'm saying for the batter. Like
for the batter, I wonder if it's using the same time as up there, just the less time. That
would make more sense. That would absolutely make more sense, because time by the clock, it is what it is. There's no subject to it. Like, hey, you took too long. The clock expired. That's it. It is what it is. There's no debating that. It's not subjective, or, oh man, I tugged him, but I didn't tug him. Hey man, the clock ran out. It is what it is.
Or it's like in the NFL, the play clock. I don't know about you, but the play clock. How many games you watch where the clock hits 0 and they get an extra second?
They're snapping. The ball's moving.
Kenner and Kev, 1410
Lane
ESPN
Johnson,
Radio.
False start.
You don't call that there. We'll be right back.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash.
Justin, you're awesome, baby.
Right here on 1410 ESPN Radio.
Houday Nation, Betfred has come all the way from England to the great state of Ohio with over 50 years of sports betting experience. No emperors, no movie stars, just a sportsbook you can trust. The Betfred Sportsbook app will be available on January 1st, 2023. Until then, download the Bengals app or go to betfredsports.com and have a chance to win Bengals tickets and exclusive merchandise. Official sports betting partner of the Cincinnati Bengals. Must be 21 plus. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-589-9966.
College basketball frickin' heats up this year like never before. Frickers brings back a fan favorite, frickin' street tacos that add to the drama that the tournament provides. Frickin' chicken tacos, charbroiled chicken tacos, and Mississippi barbecue taco. Frickers also scores with a 48-ounce personal pitcher of ice-cold domestic draft beer for only $6.50 all the games. Frickin' street tacos, $6.50 personal pitchers, nowhere else but the home for fun, food, sports, and spirits, Frickers.
Betting happens as fast as sports. And now every play is faster than ever before. You're on the edge of your seat until the moment when it's all on the line. Which is why it's important to pause before you play. Sports are fast. Betting shouldn't be. So remember to set limits, know the risks, and pause before you play. To learn more, visit pausebeforeyouplay.org.
Today on Hey Culligan, smooth skin and soft hair comes from where? Here's Mike.
Hey Culligan, I've tried every conditioner, lotion, and body wash known to man, and my skin still feels like sandpaper.
It could be your water, Mike.
Oh, that's harsh.
More like hard water. Are you interested in smart, high-efficiency water softeners from Culligan Water?
Huh?
Want baby smooth skin and soft, luxurious hair?
Yeah, can you hurry? I have a date tonight.
We're already on the way, Mike. Let us help you out with the free in-home water test from a local Culligan water expert at Culligan.com.
Research shows listeners prefer a personalized experience. So to help you remember, Liberty Mutual customizes your home insurance. We personalized this ad for Amber, who really misses boy bands from the 90s.
Hey girl, I'm the cute one, here to tell you how Liberty Mutual customizes your home insurance so you only pay for what you need.
I'm the heartthrob. The only thing I love more than you is saving. And I'm the other boy in the band everyone forgot about.
Only pay for what you need at libertymutual.com.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
I'm Terry Krupp of Laird's Tax and Accounting. We are excited to announce we are open and here to help with your tax preparation needs. We offer multiple options, both convenient and safe. You can drop off your tax return, upload it to our secure website, or call for an appointment. We have 5 locations in the Miami Valley and 1 in Columbus to serve you. No matter the situation, we're confident we can do the job right. Visit lairdstax.com or call 937-325-6571. Laird's Tax and Accounting, here for you to ensure continued confidence in your tax return.
I had a nighttime routine for my frequent heartburn. I would drink milk, I would sleep upright with more pillows, but that painful burning stayed. So I made Prilosec OTC part of my morning routine. With just 1 pill each morning, Prilosec OTC prevents excess acid production, blocking heartburn day and night. Now I have a new nighttime routine. I call it sleeping.
1 pill a day, 24 hours, 0 heartburn. With Prilosec OTC. It's possible while taking Prilosec OTC. Use as directed for 14 days to treat frequent heartburn, not for immediate relief.
When a cold comes on strong, knock it out with Vicks DayQuil Severe for max strength daytime relief. Just 1 dose of Vicks DayQuil Severe starts to relieve 9 of your worst cold and flu symptoms to help take you from 9 to none. Power through your day with Vicks DayQuil Severe, the daytime non-drowsy, coughing, aching, fever, sore throat, 9 to none medicine. Use as directed.
Staples stores are a new world of possible with innovative tools for small business and remote workers and learners. Explore more at your local Staples store or staplesconnect.com.
Hey, it's Justin Kinner from the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash. We appreciate all of our listeners and, of course, our sponsors. In fact, if it wasn't for you, we wouldn't be able to do what we do every weekday from 3 to 6 p.m. right here on 1410 ESPN Radio. We take pride in being Dayton's only local afternoon sports talk show right here in the Miami Valley. If you would like to jump in as a sponsor of our show or promote your services within our show, all you have to do is reach out to us directly by texting us at 937-518-1410. Want Kev and I to endorse your business and services? Just text us. You want to promote an open house, a grand opening, new location, or any other kind of service? Just text us. Bottom line is that we are here to help spread the word and help grow your business. Text us today, 937-518-1410, and we'll give you all of the information that you need to start promoting your business on the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash right here on 1410 ESPN Radio. Kenner and Kev back with you here on 1410 ESPN Radio. We welcome you back. All right, so how about the Haslams, the owner of the Cleveland Browns? They bought 25% of an NBA team today, the Milwaukee Bucks. So I don't think that was that big of a deal. Okay, whatever. We talked a lot about the Haslams last week. We were talking about with Jack Dunham with 24/7 Sports and the Orange and Blue or the Orange and Brown report. We were chatting with him last week about, every owner in the NFL is rich. There's no doubt about it. Like, I don't think anyone doubted that, but there's levels to the richness of these owners. There's cash rich, and then there's just your regular everyday. Like Mike Brown is not, he's just rich. Like, he's one of the poorest owners in football. Boo-hoo, right? But he's not cash rich. I mean, the amount of decisions he has to make to plan ahead to have enough money to supplement some of the decisions they want to make, like what they have coming up with their roster. They don't have that cash up front. The Haslams, they have no shortage of cash. I mean, when you bankrupt that many gas stations, I mean, you know,
and get to keep that,
to keep that gas, keep the gas, good for you. But they have no shortage of cash flow by any means. That's for sure. They own a portion of the crew over in Columbus, of course. Obviously, what we're talking about here with the NBA team and the Milwaukee Bucks, 25% stake there. But so. This was a problem on Sports Talk Radio in Cleveland today, and I didn't understand why. So I was tuning in and listening, and a lot of it is because there is a potential future standoff between Browns ownership and the city of Cleveland. They have, based on today's NFL stadium standards, it's not up to par. It's not up to par, and that they are going to have to be doing some renovations here fairly soon. But the big decision is okay, do we invest into renovations for the stadium? And by the way, I've been to games. I've been plenty of games this year. It's not bad. I mean, I don't know. I don't go to a lot of NFL games, so I don't know what's a good versus bad stadium. But I do know it's not like SoFi and the stuff that you see, on full display for the Super Bowl and national championships and all that. But these stadiums are no longer being built for your football team anymore.
Right.
These stadiums are no longer being built to give you a home field advantage. It's no longer being built to give your team an identity. These stadiums are now being built with the mindset of, cash flow beyond just the NFL regular season. That's why we're watching Buckeye Superfest, this big country concert at the Shoe every year. Mm-hmm. And it's the idea of, man, we can watch watching this concert at the Shoe. Cincinnati, I should know this. Faith will kill me. What's the one of the Bengals?
Macy's Music Festival.
So all the cool stuff at, Paycor Joe Burrow Stadium. Now, everything that happens outside of football, there's many different ways.
To be there.
Yeah, exactly. Which we have tickets to, which you can win at the Half K Dash Draft presented by Buckeye Vodka. So there's that.
Get your tickets at wingam.com.
Yep. Start your St. Patty's Day off the right way. So there you go. wingam.com. Register today. So there's going to be a potential future stand. I kept trying to figure out, okay, what's the drama? Just get this, is it the drama dome versus renovation or, new stadium versus renovation? No. It's about who's going to front the bill, basically. And the Haslams have no problem flaunting their money. They drop their money everywhere. But what they are not doing is they have not stepped up. The lease is up in 2028. Now, you may say, it's 2023. You got plenty of time. No, you don't.
Nope.
Because the wheels in motion have to be going now as far as getting all this, like all the politics behind the scenes. The politics are taking place right now. It's almost a standoff right now. They're not stepping up, Kev, to front the bill, if you will. And taxpayer money is going to play a big role in that. Well, here we go, Brownies. Here we go. How much does the team mean to the city of Cleveland, right? Now, Bengals fans, before you chime in and start running your damn mouths, it wasn't even 3 years ago that you were ready to sue your owner of the Cincinnati Bengals. Lawsuits, Kev. Mm-hmm. There were what's that called? You get a bunch of people to sign something. What's that called? You're trying to get a petition to sue the ownership of the Cincinnati Bengals. Bengals fans were, because you hated your team so much that you weren't going to games, you weren't watching them on TV, and you sure as hell weren't going to pay for a renovation for a franchise that did nothing for you, right? Now you're all go Bengals, who day, blah, blah, blah. I haven't even cut the stickers off your brand new jersey yet, whatever. So none of you get to chime in on this. I'm just warning you now because this was you not too long ago. I just want to be, but this is a completely different situation. But yeah, a standoff. But the other part of the conversation, Kev, was the dome. Some people want a dome, some people don't. Now, I already know me and you are on opposite sides because I haven't told you my opinion yet, but I already know yours. I don't think it's being perceived as soft if teams go the dome route, especially teams in cold climate weather like the Cleveland Browns. It is soft if you go the route of getting a dome. And I'm here to tell you, I don't think that that's soft. I think that that's good business. How many games down the stretch the Browns should have easily beaten the Washington Commanders? They should have taken care of that weather. They lost, and I'm not saying they lost because of the cold. That cold impacted both teams, but you don't want to have games late in a season with playoff implications on the line be dictated by the elements. When you say, well, you can't control the elements when you play in cold weather, well, you can, and you can control it by the decisions you make now with the future of it. I don't think it's soft. I think it could be good business. And if you're the Cleveland Browns, I have no problem if they go that route. This isn't just about the 8 home games for the Cleveland Browns. This is about potentially hosting Super Bowls. We talked about this with Nashville not too long ago. They saw the cash inflow of hosting SummerSlam, and they want to host WrestleManias, and they want to host NFL drafts, and they want to do all these things. That's what the Browns would like to do too. Now, I know the Browns just hosted the draft not too long ago, but they ain't getting no damn Super Bowl.
No.
So your thoughts on this? I know there's the business side, and then there's the football side, and right now there's only one side that matters in our society moving forward, and that's business, one way or another.
It's a ton here. It's a ton to unpack, man. We talked about this off air. Quickly, I was in Chicago, and they were having the same conversation about putting a dome in Soldier Field as opposed to the open air stadium that they have in Chicago. I did that this past summer. Then I'm in Cleveland in September, and they're having the same conversation about Cleveland Brown Stadium, building up the waterfront downtown Cleveland and making it more of a tourist destination to obviously bring more revenue to the city. And then the ultimate revenue bringer is obviously the Super Bowl. You're not getting a Super Bowl in Cleveland or Chicago in the middle of February. Not going to happen. You can get one in New York City because, well, it's New York City. It's going to do what it's going to do. You're not going to do that. So for me personally, I think that you will lose an element of football if everybody's playing inside. I remember when arena football came around, and that was like, they play indoors, they play on carpet, blah, 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 blah. It's not real football. But it served a purpose. I think it serves a purpose for football to be played outside. Now, if you want to play, hey, man, we're going to get a retractable so we can have best of both worlds, I'm with it. But if you're strictly dome in a city like Cleveland or Chicago, I think you take away from the feel of it, or even throwing in a city like Green Bay, I think you lose the appeal. Now, transition into the Haslams, and they're not speaking about the stadium. This is one thing I will always respect about Jerry Jones to the fullest. He put up 300 M's. He put up $300 million of his own money to get AT&T Jerry World going. Owners in sports try to play the card of, hey, man, we're bringing entertainment to your city. We're bringing joy to your lives.
Ego.
And they want the citizens of the city to foot the bill, to pay for their stadium where their team plays, where they charge you X amount of dollars for a hot dog, X amount of dollars for a soda, X amount of dollars for parking, X amount of dollars for game tickets. And, oh, yeah, they can up and down the price of the concessions. They can up and down the price of parking based on how good the team is doing. So citizens constantly have to go in their pockets to fund something for their football team. When is the team going to give back to the citizens? So I have never been a proponent of, hey, the citizens, hey, man, we're going to increase the tax on whatever it may be. May it be cigarettes, may it be alcohol, whatever people's vices are. They up the taxes on that to pay for the football stadium. If you want a new football stadium, do what Jerry Jones did. Put your money where your mouth is. Yes, they ultimately did pass taxes in Dallas to get this stadium built, but Jerry put up 300 M's, $300 million to say, hey, I want this stadium. Here's what I'm willing to bring to the table. Wrote a check. And then the citizens say, well, shoot, if he's willing to do it, I'm willing to do it too. So that's what I would suggest to the Haslams. If you're willing to do something, put up some money. You got a lot of it. Apparently, you went and bought the Bucks or part of the Bucks. If you want a stadium with a roof on it, then put up 300 M's. Put your money where your mouth is. Don't let it always be on the people of the city. That's not fair.
Well, and again, we always hold the rich and the elite to a different standard but that's what every other business owner in town does to a certain extent too. The tax, and all that stuff with the schools, the colleges, all that stuff. I mean, you have school here in town that just rakes in the dough, but still does a thing where they ask people to donate to help them get through the tough times. And I'm like, Dayton, you ain't going through no dang tough times. Yeah, I find it disrespectful to be asking your fans to be donating money to the basketball program or to the school in general, but every school does it. So they're not doing it, but I think it's wrong across the board. Just like what you're saying is you have the mighty rich of the rich asking for help, but that's what everyone does.
Right.
But that's what makes it uncomfortable as far as that's concerned. Well, Jerry, I mean, when we call it Jerry's World, he paid for it.
He paid for it.
We call it Haslam's World,
He put up that money. I may not be the biggest Jerry Jones fan in the world, but he wanted a new stadium, and he put up $300 million of his own money to tell the fans how much he wanted a new stadium for them and him to enjoy. And they making bank. They sold the rights to AT&T. They making money hand over fist. They got they said 300 suites in there that get sold out every game. You think about the concerts that are brought there. If we want to talk about all these cool amenities and venues and things that we're going to bring Beyonce, we're going to bring Jay-Z, we're going to bring Taylor Swift, we're going to bring the Super Bowl. Yeah, guess what? The citizens are going to pay to go to those events. The citizens are going to pay to park at those events. You, owner, who's going to be benefiting off of that, bring some money to the table also. Don't let it all be on the citizen, because guess what? Not every citizen that lives in Cleveland is a Cleveland Browns fan or even cares about football or sports for that matter. So for the fact that they have to fork the bill over to pay for something that they don't care about, where there's a ton of things else going wrong in that city, like roads and schools and things of that nature, God forbid, but they want to spend the money on a football stadium when you have a lot of money for your team.
So, and there's that element to it, and we'll spend more time on this as we, kind of
something I'm passionate about.
But here's the deal. If Cleveland says, hey, you know what? It's cold here. We're going to put it inside the dome. Which, by the way, I went to the Ravens game. It was so cold. It was snowing. It was such a cool experience, especially when they did the lights out. No, when they did the lights, it was a cool experience. But I don't want to go every week. And this is just from a standpoint. I'm going to be ticked off that weather. I mean, the Browns had a lot of issues, but they didn't make the playoffs this past year. And I'm not saying weather had anything to do with it, but I don't want weather to have anything to do with it. I don't want to have a game where it's a blizzard out and it comes down to, it's a coin flip at that point. It's not a talent contest at that point. It's you know what I mean? I don't like that. By the way, I think what's more embarrassing to me is teams on the West Coast that have indoor stadiums and teams in the cold. If you live on the East Coast and have an indoor stadium, that's called being smart. How about being in a nice climate, a nice warm weather climate, and then having an indoor stadium? That to me is soft. SoFi is soft. Those guys are soft. I don't think it's soft at all if the Cleveland Browns decide to go that route. Minnesota has Minnesota. They have a stadium, and I think it's smart. So nonetheless, it's so Tim. And Langenfeld, by the way, Packers fan Tim, Lambeau will never have a roof or another name. And I get that they will never have another name, but not having a roof, Green Bay, the elements in Green Bay is one of many reasons why Aaron Rodgers doesn't get a whole lot of help in Green Bay. Their ownership doesn't help them, but there ain't a whole lot of people that are lining up to go play in Green Bay, Wisconsin. And a lot of it has to do with because the weather of Green Bay, Wisconsin, especially when you get, by the way, how many games have been impacted? Packers, Aaron Rodgers, 2 back-to-back MVPs, dominating MVP year, and then he disappears in the playoffs. That's a problem, yes, but how much of that had to do with the cold? You can say, well, he plays in the cold all season. Cold is cold. How many of y'all, we live in Ohio. From the time that it starts getting cold in November until end of February, when I walk out and it's cold, it's cold. I don't say, well, I'm used to it by now. I hate the cold one way or another. Cold is cold. I don't think it's soft. I think it's good business. And you know what's good business? Making the playoffs. And I don't want to miss the playoffs because of a snow game in late November, December.
I think there's way fewer games affected by the weather than you're leading on.
Bite me. Dome it up, baby. Kenner and Kev, 1410 ESPN Radio. How about that professional take?
Listen, stream, watch. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash right here on Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM.
Hey there, friends. Make 2023 the year you beat Vegas. Superbook Sports gives you the chance every week to go head-to-head with the best odds makers in Las Vegas. No fancy computer algorithms, no